Hey everybody, welcome to Frame Trap. I'm your host Brad Ellis. I'm joined by my co-host as always, Michael Damiani.
Good to be back. Been a little while since I've been in the studio.
We're gonna get into that also, but today's a good day. We got a special guest.
Oh yeah,
good to be
alumni,
back.
superstar.
Been a little while since I've been in the studio.
We got a superstar. Brandon Jones is here.
Hi everybody,
Co-founder of
viewers and
Allies,
listeners.
Game trailers.
Feels good. Like riding a bike, like putting on a warm blanket. Just
Jones, you were on the first episode I hosted too.
Yeah. Oh,
So
nice. That's right. Yeah.
It's been a while, but now we're back, baby. So you can see how we've grown. Hopefully, we'll see how it is. But first, Jones, we gotta talk. What's been going on in your life, man?
Yeah.
What's been going on in the Jones Zone?
Well, Easy X is coming up at the end of the month.
Yes,
And that'll be a year since I announced that I was going to be taking off and doing like my own stuff. Hanging with my kid, a surprising deal. February, we all got sick. It was just like, it was cold. It was like a Mexican standoff with colds.
Yeah.
Like it was just like they, went all over the place. And so like for the last 5 weeks, like have not been super productive just because I've been sick. But it's been nice like to be able to take the time for man and I both have flexible schedules. So I took 2 writing courses.
Ooh,
I went back to
yeah.
school. When I graduated college, I was like, I'm never taking a class. Maybe like yoga is like the only class that like I will take. So, but like trying a new thing, wrote a book, finished that on the first.
you already wrote a book.
Wrote a novel. And
many pages?
Fixing it right now, like just over 3, like 320,
Wow.
I think. Pages?
Dude,
I don't know.
awesome.
Like, double Times New Roman 12-point double space is supposedly a page. But what the hell do I know? And it's probably going to be bad. It's going to be my first one. A lot of the people that I've talked to, like, try to get agents. They're like, yeah, 3 to 10 books is when, like, people are like, oh, they like start to notice you. So, damn, dude. The idea of
3 to
going
10.
into, like, write another book with the first one, just like, yeah, some people saw it. So we'll see if my
Dude, that's
social
so
media
cool.
presence
Yeah.
has any clout. And
That's
get,
so
like, a book
awesome,
off the
dude.
ground.
I can't believe you already wrote a book.
And I got an illustrator working on a kid's book that was just that was inspired. I
Another
was
book.
reading
Look at
I was reading like 500 kids books, and so I
Yeah,
just like got
sure.
an idea and read it to Milo. He approved.
Oh,
But,
nice.
So yeah, working on 2 books, so we can get them out this year, and not been playing a ton of games. So I was really glad when I sent you the update of like
What
the
you were
most
playing.
sparse frame trap ever. Right after I retired, I played a ton of Far Cry games. I played Far Cry 3 Gold Edition because I think
Love
it was. Never played it, and I think it was on the PlayStation subscription. So I was like, all right, let's do it's the remaster. So that was really interesting, and I'm like, okay, I have something for Frame Trap in case I have Brad. It's always nice to have the game in the holster for Frame Trap. And then I was not planning on playing Far Cry 5, and I'm like, damn, that was a lot of fun. I want to keep going. Then I played 5, loved it, and then played
6?
the sequel to 4.
Primal?
With the one that everybody thought was Rage 2, and everybody thought Rage 2 was this, where it was like the 2 evil female protagonists
yes.
in the future.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
the sequel
yeah,
to
yeah.
4. Oh wait, no, sorry, I played 6.
Okay, 6,
this was
yeah.
like the sequel to 5.
Did you like
3
6?
Far Cry's back to back. Love 6.
Cool.
Yeah,
I played a little bit of it, but it seemed
Definitely the best. It's a series kind of like Assassin's Creed, like in the heyday when it's just like every entry was just better and better and better. Skipping over 3, but so yeah. Played a ton of Far Cry and then played a little bit of 14 and then stopped. Right. Yeah, kind of cold turkey. And then I was like, RE4 Remake is the game that's going to pull me out.
Yeah.
And Octopath 2 just came out, and I was so hungry that
yeah, it's such a Jones
put
game.
in
dude.
20 hours so far.
What have you been watching anything?
I mean anything, Star Wars or Marvel, obviously. Not going to theaters. Went to the theater for Avatar. Had to see that in IMAX. Went to the theater for Batman when that came out in theaters.
Of course.
And like one other thing, but like all the Marvel stuff, I'm like, I'll see it on Disney Plus.
Did you watch Andor?
I loved Andor.
Okay,
Andor's
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I did like Andor too.
I mean,
surprising.
Andor was one of those things where like I almost got on the phone for the spoiler mode. Like I was like, I really want to enjoy this conversation, but I know I'll regret it if I do, and I'll be like,
I was
stressed,
just
like
surprised that show was as good as it was because I was like, dude, who gives a shit about Cassian Andor?
I can't think of that span of interest from the moment they announced it. When we saw the logos together, it was like, oh, cool, they do this. Obi-Wan. Andor. I was like, weird. I'm like, okay, whatever. From that like disinterest to like the end of the last episode. Like,
Yeah, it was good.
whoa. Yeah, that was really well done. But I haven't seen Mandalorian yet.
Okay.
Did see Boba Fett. So however many
A while ago,
months,
yeah,
years
about
later.
a year ago, probably.
But,
yeah. Damiani, you've been moving, dude. You were
That's right.
moving a bunch. You were out last week because moving is a hassle. got work to do. How is your new place, man?
Almost fully set up.
All right.
Still hate moving though.
Yeah, of course. It's the worst.
It's not fun to do, especially with my cat Cloud. He's 16 years old, so like he was not happy.
Sure, yeah.
He was kind of like stressing out a little bit, but tried to do my best to make it smooth on him. And he seems like pretty good now. Like he's been like going well. Like so far, like I'm liking it. I like it. It was, I'd lived at the place I'd lived before for 12 years, pretty much. So
long time there.
Been like over a decade, so it was a pretty long time. So it was like so many almost pulled the trigger moments each year where my roommates and I were like, this is the year we're gonna move. We found a place and we're like, but we have to pay movers, we have to pack. It's like, in this place it's still pretty cheap. Can we just do another year and see how it goes? And like we just things change. Like one of my roommates got married and they want their own place, so we're now down a roommate. So it's like 3 bedrooms too much. We need like a 2-bedroom now. So this was time for change. And then, but right before that, I was in Palm Springs with my family because they came out to visit for my birthday.
Yes.
And it was just one of my brothers and his wife and their 2 kids, and then my mom and dad were there. And it was the same nephews that I brought up last year who played Kirby in the Forgotten Land when I was saying like how much they love that game. Well, we had a follow-up this time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's not a segment or anything? I can.
No, go ahead.
The oldest one, who's 6, that the first thing he does, like my mom was like, please don't forget the Switch. Please don't forget the Switch. Like he's getting one for his birthday later this year,
right.
But like they wanted to wait till he was like 7, basically. They agreed 7's the age he can have one, but since he was like 5, he's wanted one. And so every time he sees Uncle Mike, he's like, hey, where's the Switch? And he's like, I'm the Switch machine. Here you go.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, so
of all the people you could borrow a Switch from.
Yeah, from Michael Damiani, the man that's been on Nintendo's E3 stage.
Just casually. Yeah, this is my Switch.
So 2 things real quick.
Yes.
One, like seeing the joy in their face when they like play it, like obviously is really great. So Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe,
the Wii U,
newest Wii U, the port of the Wii U game that just came out last month.
Right.
He absolutely like gobbled up and like didn't even ask for other games after that point. Just
wow.
I think he almost finished it over like the weekend. He was like glued to it, where the parents like, you need to put that away sometimes. But also it's like my nice OLED model. So there's the second part. Seeing what they do with their fingers sometimes and how like dirty it gets, and they're like touching my screen and everything, and I'm like, all right. When they put it down, I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna go like wipe this off right now. And I was like, oh dear. But like, I'm not gonna say anything to the kid because it's like he's having such a fun time. I'm like,
I wonder if the parents are kind of leaning on you to like police the game time. It's just like if you could say something to him, and Damiani's totally like, let him play.
So we had a thing like what he played and stuff was like they were just like trusting me to play, and like he wanted to play some 2 players sometime, but like obviously he like his cognition of stuff, it's like it ended up being like more frustrating to play 2-player with them. Like they had a better time single player because they want you to do this and like they don't say anything, and then they say it and like it's too late. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you wanted me to do that. Like so like they don't have the communication at that, like so it's like trying to read their mind, like, all right, where do you want to go and stuff, and like they get upset. So I'm like, why don't we put it back? Let's put the Joy-Cons back in, and like you can just go and like it'll work. And they had a much better time with that. But the parents was like every time he came over to our room and be like, and he says, "Can I have the Switch?" I'm like, I need to hear your mom or dad say you're allowed to play it. It's like. But they said you can. I'm like, no, I want to like hear from them because I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
Because there would definitely be times like we're going to the pool now. It's no Switch at the pool. We're going to dinner. No Switch at dinner. And he'd run back, and it's like they don't want him. So it's like juggling those like those instructions and stuff.
Right.
It's like So it was like a lot of fun, but also like last time I saw them, like they're like, oh, you do so well with them. I'm like, yeah, I only have to see them for a few days. I am not 24/7 on the hook for them.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Way different, like obviously.
It's
so easy to like spend a few days.
A few hours, but when you're there the whole time, I think that's my parents talk about that. Those are grandparents now. They're like, it's great. I only have to be with them a few hours at a time now.
Yeah.
And then I just leave them.
Like But it's like really cool to see. Like I'm now thoroughly convinced though that like Kirby is a brilliant game series for like little
young
kids.
children.
Like it's always been like Nintendo games for like kids, blah blah blah. But like Kirby legitimately is for like all ages.
When
like,
the 8-bit NES, my godson, I think it was like 5 at the time, 5 or 6. Like just here's the NES Mini of like so many different options went over, and like we had a party, and Kirby like the whole party, like he was just committed.
Oh,
to,
really?
Yeah,
Cool.
That first Kirby game, and I'm like,
Has
not the one
Milo
that I'd
shown
stand out.
any interesting games at all?
There's one awesome pic that I have that we have like billions of pictures of Milo, so I'd have to like go back and try to find it. I should have saved it or like printed it or something. With just by happenstance, he was holding the Game & Watch Mini, the Legend of Zelda one.
Yeah.
And he was flipping around in his hand, and he had his finger on the D-pad, and he had his other finger on like the A or B, and I was like, "Oh, you did it!" Because like he's fascinated by screens. And watch cars on TV is Forza. So if we're like in my room, and he's like, "Watch cars on TV," I'm like, "Let's do it." And we went through like it's funny, playing like the Hot Wheels Unleashed, and he's just like different car. I'm like, "Well, Daddy's in a race right now. Let me just see if I can get because you got to get first place to like finish any of the Hot Wheel stuff." And I'm like, "Hold on, just Daddy's in a drift competition. Hold on."
That's cool.
But yeah, he was into the Switch a little bit. Amanda would play the Switch with him, but it's mostly TV but like it's but the iPad though, he's just starting to play like Find the Elephant, and like he'll crack up and play stuff.
Yep.
Shout out to the Very Hungry Caterpillar, which has a pretty decent simple game. It's just left to right swipe vignettes, and then you just like pluck fruit or draw and like
is he into what's it called, Bluey or whatever?
Yeah, we kind of forced. I don't know if there's anything. I think anything car related is just like his natural. Like that's something cool. But we're like, reading Rainbow and but Bluey and he's Blue's Clues is his favorite right now. Going back to season 1.
Nice.
But Bluey's out of control. Bluey's.
That's what my younger nephew.
It's like BoJack Horseman for kids. It's like so perfect. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's good for because do you know what it is?
I've seen it. I know it. Yeah,
it's good for adults and kids. Like it's made so your parents go insane watching a child show.
Yeah,
but like it looks like a Super Nintendo RPG. Like when you have like big wide shots, like it looks like an indie. Like all the edges are really clean, and like the animation's
Are they dogs? What are they?
Yeah, they're dogs and. I think everybody's right. There's no like other random.
I only saw a little clip because like
my
younger nephew was the one watching it because he's addicted to the iPad. Like that's what he did not care about the Switch at all. He was on that the whole time. It was that and Peppa Pig or whatever.
Peppa Pig,
that's the huge one.
Yeah, Peppa Pig.
But nothing co-op yet. That's the bit. I mean, that's
it's gonna happen.
That's
Jones.
when don't tease, Brad. That's when it's that is so
train him to be your heel bot.
Just from that moment. Just like, we'll play some more of that. What was that? Minecraft Dungeons? Just something.
Yeah.
Like I saw my.
Yeah.
But my two god kids, it's lots of mobile stuff. Like lots of, collecting, monster creating weird mobile games I've never heard of.
Yeah. Like they went through, like, I showed them, like, on Netflix. I was like, what do you watch? What are the kid shows? And, like, 50% of them, like, I've never even seen or heard of these before.
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane how many, like, kid shows are there. One thing that was a little concerning, like, I almost want to, like, talk to my brother and my wife about. It's like, his favorite YouTube creator is Mr. Beast. And I was like, he's like, hey, do you, like, watch Mr. Beast? So you've seen his latest videos and stuff. And I was like, I know who Mr. Beast is, but, like, I was like, yeah, he did something recently with his chocolate brand or something that got him in a little bit of, like, trouble.
Brand.
You hear about a pretty funny story.
So it's a thing about like abusing your parasocial like relationship with your fans. He basically having his fans make his displays at stores, make sure they look nice, but also like kind of like nudge them to like, why don't you push some of the competitors like chocolate bars off to the side or something like that? Yeah, okay. It's like if you see a Hershey bar, maybe like push it to the side or something like that. Yeah, but I mean like they're at such a young age, they have no idea about any of that. So they're just like, do you see the one where you crushed the car, or we did this one? Like they just like the wow factor, or like videos that like the people just like say a word of what they're seeing, like red ball and like blue duck, like stuff like that. It's like very simple stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But Bluey's like 10 out of 10 writing for sure.
Oh,
like,
really? Great.
And they're all like 15 minutes. They're all really short episodes.
Beautiful. Yeah. Are they usually 2 per episode? Or is that
no,
how
it's
it
just
works?
like one story.
Oh, okay.
And it like by the end of 15 minutes, it's like how you always cry in the first 10 minutes of a Pixar movie. They'll just be like, hey, here's this character, and then this happened, and you're like, like it's like, how did they do that fast? In 15 minutes, you're like, whoa. It's always like the last beat, you know, when you kind of see like the arc that the story took. It's like,
Yeah,
damn.
I think for kid shows they need to be quick though.
Yeah.
For that attention span.
There's all sorts of kids' entertainment, let me tell you. And it's really interesting to see, for kids stuff, I was profound, like revisiting Elmo and just realizing like that guy has the magic. Like and it took a long time for Sesame Street to go through like a lot of different characters and formats. And then it's just like almost like scientifically they found like the one character that kids just boom, you know, well, like most kids will be very
loves
into.
Elmo.
But
Did Milo? Did you have a mess around with those? They're like a type of magic marker coloring thing where it's not like a colored marker; it looks clear.
Yeah.
But like when when you just do it, it's so for kids who would go out of the lines all the time. You just like all over the page, but like it starts coloring it automatically, and it looks insane. It's like. I was like, the person who thought this was a genius, but like they love it. They just like go nuts with that stuff, and it's like. They don't have to worry about like real crayons at getting over markers.
Good,
it's I was like, whoa, this is really cool, actually. Like
the tech is crazy,
Yeah.
you know, with actually like physical toys and stuff like that. There's like remote, you know, he's in Hot Wheels. There's like remote control Hot Wheels that are the same size as a Hot Wheel, you know, just like a super little tiny car and it just spins around and goes off jumps and stuff.
How's Amanda been? Has she been playing anything?
She's good. Yeah, she officially made the switch from Hearthstone to Marvel Snap. That was the biggest thing.
Wow.
Because she
loved Marvel.
Yeah, like I was always a
Hearthstone,
DC kid, and so it's like I didn't know anything about Doctor Strange. I didn't know. I was like mostly into the X-Men and like Captain America, and so there's like so many new characters in the MCU that like it's crazy to go back. And now she like I was more and more into the MCU than she was. Now she's kind of like on the same level that I am, and now you know she's like, oh, I unlocked like this crazy guy. It's like I've no idea who that character is. She's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. He's gonna synergize with the characters this way. But it's funny because I kind of bounced off of Marvel Snap, which blew my mind because I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna love this. And I think just I'm like pooped by the time I like break out my phone to play something, and so it's like I usually play a lot of sim stuff, as opposed to like let me try to beat this guy. It's like too stressful.
We're not gonna talk about it in the show, but I did play because there was Final Fantasy DLC for it. I did play Power Wash Simulator finally.
Yeah, baby.
And I understand now the appeal to that game.
So many crazy DLCs. There's a Final Fantasy one.
Yeah, we cleaned lots of that stuff. It was awesome.
I bought it after we streamed it. I bought it on Switch and beat the DLC on Switch
bed?
as well.
That's funny.
Yeah, I didn't even play the main campaign. I was like, I was playing the DLC. It goes all the way to the Airbuster. I was like, you do get to
you do
clean
the Airbuster
at the end. Yeah, dude, there's a storyline. Like,
the campaign of the actual game is nuts.
It catches up to the beginning of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, okay.
And they start like letting you in on like the reactor blowing up and stuff.
That's
Dude,
funny.
sick.
Is it the same way where they like text you stuff?
It's all
like
text in the email and stuff, and like
works really well.
Heidegger's getting like
Pissed off.
He's like, here's my Airbuster. This time it's gonna work. I was gonna send it out, but they're not worth it.
That is so funny.
Yeah, that is sick.
Yeah, surprise. One of those games you're like constant, like some games you really get immersed in, some first person games, so like forget you're playing a game for half a second, or you just forget like really like what's going on. Like Power Wash Simulator, like you're keenly aware of what you're doing the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, you're always like, I'm really playing this. Like I'll finish a level and then immediately go to the next one. And it's like, I want to do this again, apparently.
Yeah, it is weird.
Clean this house.
It's just really cool to just like look at those like the Airbuster, like the full model,
See,
just
the model's
walking
crazy.
around it, not in combat, and then like it, like you saw with the Scorpion Sentinel, like you can tilt like the guns up and down. It has like thrusters on the back that you can rotate, and it has like a chest that energy core that opens up. I was like, wait, I was like, this is pretty cool. And like,
that's cool.
And having like the the riser, you can move around and go like all the way up to the higher level and stuff, and like just like look down at it. It's just
I want this to have like Fortnite level.
Me too.
Like, crossovers. Like I want to do aliens.
Yeah.
I want to claim the Millennium Falcon. I went like, let's go.
Oh my God.
Well, since it's Square Enix Publishing, what else could they do? Can they do some stuff from Kingdom Hearts? You want to clean Destiny
They just
Islands?
gotta
Kingdom Hearts
Disney.
pretty clean. You'd have to.
You gotta get some Disney. Or you can clean like Hollow Bastion or something. That's pretty filthy, I guess. You
Some
gotta get
Dragon Quest stuff you want to clean?
Anything in Dragon Quest, dude. Clean a monster or something. I don't care.
Well, but so I tweeted this. I was like, "Oh man, where are we gonna go?" And the first, like one of the first ones was like Raccoon City, obviously, like the police station. Just
Ooh, that needs a lot of work.
just blood.
That'd be that would be really cool. Spray
But
Marvin's
it's cool.
dead body.
It'd be cool to follow the game. Like someone's playing through the campaign, and you're like, "What the hell happened in here?" Like
cleaning up their mess.
the
Leon,
Spencer
Claire's
Mansion, and you
mess.
put hunters like right where they all are.
Oh man,
Mansion would be so cool. That'd be awesome, dude.
Pretty
Clean
clean,
up
though.
umbrella messes. Wow.
It's like RE is getting dirtier. Like RE5 was dirtier than RE4.
Yeah.
And RE6 was definitely dirtier than or 6 and then 7 and like they all.
Yeah, they're filthy. for
Seven's
sure.
pretty.
Yeah, 7's filthy. Definitely.
Baker family's
Grimy.
pretty gross. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like puke everywhere in that game. I don't know what the hell's going on in that.
That's a. Yeah, you need to just like drop like a giant like water tower on that. And be
Yeah,
done with
well,
it.
they usually blow that shit up, so that's the right thing
Yeah,
to do
there
at
you
that
go.
point, I'd feel like.
I'd say one thing with evolution about Frame Trap that I really like is, back in the day we would really, we'd mostly be here by ourselves when we would shoot that. I really like the laugh track coming
Gabby?
from,
Yeah.
coming from the next room. It really just kind of punctuates.
Yeah.
It's just a nice shot in the arm. You just kind of know
It's like a live studio audience.
we at least did the last 5 minutes right.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's actually get into the show, I guess, now.
Woo!
Talk about, Jones, what you have been playing. One of the games is Octopath Traveler 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Damiani's played some of this also. I have not touched this game.
Nice. Did you play one?
I played some of one, but I
Yeah.
quit because I didn't like the story at the time.
Right.
But I like it. It's like, traditional JRPG. So it's like,
Very
hell yes.
traditional.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like intentionally traditional, like very straightforward. Lots of options. So like what you get out of it and the direction you take and the party you make, and now there's like other crazy dress fear classes you can have with like but definite improvement over the first one. Thought I was gonna play Triangle Strategy.
Oh, dude, I played that game. That game was awesome.
Yeah, I thought I was itching, but I managed to
good.
I managed to hold off. And I didn't think, like I said, I thought RE4 was really going to be the game, the first game this year that I was going to focus on, and Spider-Man, my God, at the end of the year. But I missed God of War, Witcher 3 got remasters. No.
Really
and just
dodged
something.
the bullet with Witcher 3, according to Huber, though.
Oh, no.
Huber had more problems. I didn't have as many problems as Huber. but
Okay.
On PC or on console?
We played on PlayStation 5.
Oh.
But yeah. I think a new patch just came out recently, too, so... What they
It's
get the
funny.
Huber
I'm
report.
like, I obviously own Witcher 3, so I can just upgrade it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, where is it in my library? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I had the disc.
Yeah, me too.
on PlayStation 4.
I bought it I bought the complete edition
That's
digitally,
right.
Jones. It was like $10.
No, yeah, it's
I was
not.
like,
It was
that
not the
game's
expense
always
that
on
held
sale.
me back. It's
yeah,
just like
that game's
'cause
always on
I'd
sale.
have to play all the DLCs again too. Just like, and I never played the last DLC, the vampire one. Oh my God. Yeah, lots of stuff I was like holding up, but I was just so in the mood for a good, cozy narrative.
No one likes to grind it more than you.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
I love when you don't have to, but I just love that option. There's just something so clean about it. And the environments I was talking to Don about it a little bit, and he was questioning the areas. And I remember like not really knowing when I went in, like Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, like a lot of my favorite old RPGs, like do have like valleys that you can go through or areas where there's a lot of like potential exits, and it's pretty streamlined. Like it's pretty, all the treasure chests are just right there. Like they might be in a fun little, you can get them boats now. So you just like walk to the water and everybody pops out in a little boat. Even
That's
if like
cool.
the hunter has her dog with her, just a little boat. Or I think he's like at the front of her boat. So some places it can kind of be tricky, like for some extra items, but it's, but because of that, you look at the map and it's really easy to understand. Like I take a right at this road and then I'm at this other town. But I was really hungry for a story and got in, and about 20 hours in.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, love all the characters. And I think the thing that really works for the story is it was so funny. I really appreciated over the years reading reviews were like, there's so many games we've reviewed at Game Trailers and Easy Allies, RPGs that I had never played, never going to play, like the entire Tales of series, like dating back to like before Symphonia, like up till now, just like, like getting these little updates. The paragraph about story is always so funny because it's just like RPG roulette. Like, what are we gonna get? We got amnesia? Do we got? Are we in royalty? Like the son of a king or something? Or are we? There's always these very classic tropes that are great because they work. Like they revenge stories and stuff. You're like, oh, I really want to capture that guy, and so you like go out into the world and explore. And it's fun to have 8 of those, like 8 totally different, in a lot of ways, pretty typical. Like, I think my favorite was a prison break. And it's just like the moment he's like, I was wrongfully accused, now I'm in prison. And he was a mage. And so to take his magic away, they put a muzzle on him. And so you don't talk like at all like, through most of the prologue. And it was just like, it's going to be so satisfying. Like, when you get your powers back. And it's neat to join the party. It's funny, they give you an option when you meet somebody. And they're like, do you want to hear their backstory? And it's like, what? you can go to like the library or something and you can talk to somebody and replay it if you hadn't yet. But it's just kind of funny to be like, no.
Yeah.
I'll let you join my party, but I don't care about your life. But I will set up a tent with you. And so, yeah, just the variety and how easy it is to get around the world, how exciting it is to like find a new person, get to a whole new town. It's just gorgeous. Just like every screen, every time you move to a new area or like a lot of the different parts of the world when you bounce around, like meeting different characters are very distinct. I played most of it on Switch, and it's just gorgeous. Like on this, like the original OG classic Switch. Very pretty game. Little fuzzy in the background.
Yeah, they still do that thing.
The depth is a little weird.
I'm not a fan of that. I wish there was a way to like not have
adjust that. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that was like the only thing I didn't like.
Like
with
that
the
castle is
visuals.
like just down the hill, and it's like,
yeah,
where'd it go? Like, but it's not for lack of like design prowess. It's not like you can tell like this is exactly what. Like each image is like very carefully tailored, and it's linear because of that. Like there's just a lot of you going left and right through environments. But again, for somebody who likes to grind, it's like all the little hallways are clearly level marked, and you can kind of get the rhythm of like, oh, okay, this way to this town, and then if I want to go north, that's all crazy stuff. So yeah, just grinding. So just running around. I remember I found one in Final Fantasy VI. It was that like Dragon Island, and it's just like, oh, I have that forest, like I want to should have that like tattooed on my arm, and it's like etched into my brain, just this rhythm of like going around in circles, baby. And I found a spot in Octopath 1. This one, like, just looked up online. They're like, oh yeah, this one area, and like the northwest, and found this one spot where there's like a tree and the road goes around it, and just put on a good
and
podcast.
You can speed up. Yeah, you can speed up combat too. Like you make it 2x speed. Yeah,
pretty standard nowadays. Seems like for RPGs like that, which I'm fine with.
Constantly getting stuff, getting job points,
love job points.
So you're uploading every class and you get like surprising new stuff. And I'm not like at the point where I'm like, I want this out of my party. I'm just like constant discovery. Like, what did I unlock? Like, oh, that's cool. And then at the same time, the mage is just like fire, lightning, just classic, classic RPG stuff. And I remember liking it a lot. Because I am actually kind of turned off by like super complicated combat systems.
Sure.
I talked to Ben back in the day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, some of these fights go on for like an hour," and I'm like, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do like to get challenged, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to like know when you're gonna go like challenge yourself, and like when the big tentpole moments like those require like a ton of strategy. And there's a lot of different stuff you can do, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to just like charge through it. But the power system, I don't remember like specifically what they call those nodes that you charge up.
Yeah, like you hit like the right
it's
bump
the
or
Bravely
whatever,
Default thing, right?
That's what I said before, and you can like power up to like it was like 3 charges, is like the max, or at least where I was.
Like when RPGs have like you have this meter, and then when it fills up, you drop something.
Like
there's something about like
something.
having even just 5 grades of strength that you assign to something. And so, like, for warriors, it's satisfying as they attack, like, that many times. And for mages, you just, like, it now does... I don't remember if it did all that camera work in the first game.
I don't know about that, but I think it was more impressive, like, spells, because it amplified spells, whereas, like, attacks was like, I attack more! It's like, spells, like, boom! Big explosion.
And there's a lot of fights with like, the composition of enemies is interesting. And so you'll have one enemy that's so different from the other ones that, like, you have to figure out who in your party is going to focus on that one guy to, like... take advantage of the weaknesses of like another character, but at the same time, it's like when oh yeah, my mage hasn't been doing anything, and then you just boop 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 boop, and then just cast some fireball like a rabbit and just disintegrate it. It's just fun to it's very and just the rumble, the way it feels in the Switch, like it's just the right button, just like not the trigger but the corner.
Yeah,
so you just tap tap tap. Very satisfying. So it is dense and there's a lot of options you can do, but at the same time, it's like casual if you want it to be. So it's just a very like low stress.
Yeah.
I'm not rushing through it. Like I'm happy that I, have enough to talk about, on Frame Trap, but it's totally taking my time. I actually haven't played it in a week or two just 'cause, like, been sick. Like that's when you're sick, man. When I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take today. Like Amanda did this for a couple days, and then I got sick after her, and I was just like, I'm just gonna sit in bed because she gets throat stuff. I always get sinus pressure headaches. So my skull's like expanding like a balloon, and it's just like, I'm gonna play an RPG. And after 5 minutes, like I have no idea what's going on. Like I can't can't really follow it, can't get it, can't concentrate on like what I'm doing.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's like, oh no. That's when no pretending you're sick. But thank you, Octopath. I don't know, I'm curious how I think usually put 50, 60 into something of this.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
I can't remember how much I played in the first one. But Didn't do like the end stuff in Octopath, but definitely got credits on that game. That was a lot of fun. And story-wise, I'm told I like just finally got everybody, and then I'm like picking a character, like my first character to finish his story. But haven't seen a lot of the crossover stuff.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was curious about. Because I remember the first one, I didn't really like... I wasn't satisfied with how they all kind of connected, I guess, at a point.
They didn't really.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I felt like they were all strangers with each other.
It was kind of like the dungeons for me in Breath of the Wild, where like I wouldn't have called them good, but I got why they were the way they were, and so it's like yeah, these characters aren't intersecting at all, but like I don't feel I was promised that. Like maybe I thought of that before I played the game, but a couple hours in, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Totally. That's the adventure I'm going to go on. And they're super neat. Like there's no two characters that really feel the same, but it's like the guy I picked is, like the disgraced, like samurai.
Sick.
Like, I gotta,
love that.
All royal shenanigans and just like so serious. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Obviously you played this guy.
I played the beginning
Merchant?
of that one. So I started with the mining town one. That was the first one I started with. He met the samurai first. That's where I came across.
Nice.
I went back and did like a little bit of his opening, and then I started a new file just because I wanted to see the thief storyline a little bit, and then escaping the sewers. There's like a betrayal.
That city too.
Yeah, that city. Yeah,
they didn't have anything like that in Octopath 1, where it's like an actual.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Brick and mortar multi-story.
I wanted
city.
to see that. Cool. And I was like, all right, yeah, like this is pretty, visually very impressive. The soundtrack was fantastic.
Love
first game had a fantastic soundtrack. I didn't even play the first game. I just listened to the entire soundtrack on my own. And this one, same theme song returns, but like great battle themes. Pretty good all around.
It's definitely a game I want to get to someday, but I have no idea when I'll be able to play this game.
Yeah,
but it's just like, to me, it's just like nice comfort food whenever I need it. It's just right there. If I ever need that itch scratch.
It's like when we get towards the end of the year, if like we're kind of hurting our RPGs, which I don't think we will be.
No.
It's like I'll probably put more time into this to play a significant amount so we can maybe discuss it. But for goaties, it's
we all know what RPGs can be in that goatee category.
Okay. Sure.
It's nice. It's nice too because I hit a point where I wasn't ready for a boss fight, and then I was like, I can go grind it out, but I'll just go somewhere else and find someone else to start. Come back and do this one specific spot. So yeah, it's can be really tough. I remember some of the battles at the end of Octopath 1 being very challenging. You really had to maximize every single part. But yeah,
are there difficulties in
I like it?
I don't remember seeing a difficulty at the beginning. You pick because there's a title screen, and then it goes right into the character select the screen, and there's settings, but I don't remember there being. There might be in the settings I just didn't recognize, or there might be modifiers.
All the quest areas are very clearly. I've definitely gone into because when you only level up people in your party, right? So you got to keep swapping people out, and so it's funny when you get the last character, they're level 1, and if you've kept your original guy, they're late 20s, early 30s, and so it's funny to have somebody you're used to fighting just wipe out that character that you picked up.
That's a problem in Fire Emblem, the most recent one, Engage. So many characters and such a large roster. If you neglected characters, you get too far in the game. It's they can barely even survive a hit. So how am I gonna level these characters up and fight? So they got left too far behind.
Okay,
and it felt too much of a chore to juggle everyone to keep them. There was no incentive to even.
I remember doing that in Final Fantasy 12. I was like, I gotta keep everyone.
There
level.
is a weird invest in that because when Pokemon added the thing where it's everybody just experience everything. I was like, that feels a little weird. There's some my 6th Pokemon that I never bring out in the back is done. They've leveled up and I never
freeloading XP.
So that's true. With Engage. I mean, you kind of got attached to a few characters, and that became your core. That's it. I don't think EXP share is the best solution, but there should be another way to go back where you feel you got to earn the levels. It's just Engage was very restrictive with that.
Got it.
So as long as you give me a viable other option,
you can see maybe somebody gets XP and you just see them in the background watching, each fight, and they're like, got it, okay,
yeah.
So they just a little bit
they get.
But just contextually, I need to know what they're doing.
Well, that was what was it? 3 houses let you train. So you could
train
spend resources to train.
I imagine
people.
3 houses is how you feel about Octopath 2, where it's I know it's there. I know,
sure.
I know. Yeah. I heard so much about that game from so many surprising people. you know, like Huber's takes on that I wasn't really expecting, like Isla's takes on that. And so it's like, I know I'm going to enjoy that.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Get around to it.
Jones, did you ever play Chained Echoes or hear about it?
Was that this year?
It was last year.
Yeah, there's so many titles like Chained
So
Echoes remind me.
It was in our It was one of our Game of the Year nominees, so you probably did read the script for it.
Yeah.
But if you ever get time, that's a Jones jam.
Nice.
It's one of the best
Wait, that was the one
RPGs.
that's like built by one guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen tons of
One of the
gameplay
best
that.
RPGs I've played in a long time.
Oof. Because it was already, on the short list of like,
Yeah.
okay, if I really want to
It's on
invest
Game
in
Pass if you have it.
some what are you doing? Gotta forget that.
Let's
pull that
hear
one out of my
from some
brain.
listeners about Octopath. Some questions from
Yeah.
Jones. If you want to send in a question, join us on patreon.com/easyallies. Just got to be a $5 and up patron. You can submit questions to this show.
Nice.
The Easy Allies podcast, other stuff. We got a bunch of good stuff over there. And you get to join our Discord. Lots of fun over there. Love seeing all of their people's impressions, especially when PSVR 2 came out. Saw a lot of people chatting there about it, so it's fun to see.
Oh, nice.
This is from Chris Park. Hey, Jones. With your love of open world games and also turn-based RPGs, does it feel like Octopath hits the sweet synergy of doing both? I feel like the team doubling down on the unique aspects instead of treading towards a more traditional regular party system lent them to explore the concepts more. Rip to all future NPCs that will be mugged / beaten / knocked out, then kidnapped for combat.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think
Yeah, strike that like nice balance. You were talking about like how it's more open now, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah, scope is always at first. You know, playing his games as long as we've been playing ever since we were kids. Like watching games like grow in scope is so fascinating because there's still. It's especially with an RPG where it's like this is the world. Like it's really tough to represent. Like this is a very small planet. You know, relatively, and so it's. I'm often thinking when I'm playing an open world game like. Would I want it to take longer to get to where I'm going? Like, how long should that be relative to? Because almost always somebody's like, "Oh man, did you hear the rumbling in that cave?" It's like this is the cave on the island. It's the only place that any of us would go to. We just have to go south, and like it's right there. And I think there is kind of like a storybook quality to the game, almost kind of like you're reading this as a fable, or you're like hearing the story around a campfire, like that kind of vibe. And so, and just the art style just kind of lends itself very much to like I'm reading a book or I'm seeing like a puppet show of this or something. It's very presentational in that way. So the fact that, you know, most roads lead to one specific area. There's like the fog of war basically on the map. So like you don't one person started a mission and then left, and then I could see that town when I first started that character, and it's just in this desert of nothing, and like everything around it's really, really tough. So it's like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm never gonna get back there until later and be like, oh, this is where you know I'm back where I started. And so I think they do a really good job in like the guy that starts in prison. It's like, you know, in like The Wall in Game of Thrones, like super far in the north. No one ever goes there for any reason. It's kind of like Alcatraz being surrounded by water. It's like you can maybe break out, but then what do?
Right.
You need a boat, you need clothes, you need food. And so it really felt when he was done with that and I switched other characters and then zoomed up to the map and I'm like, oh, it's all the way up there. Like, yeah, I just couldn't get there right now because of my level. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of nice to, be separated that way and really pick like, okay, from the character that I picked, like you were saying, like, where do I want to go? Like what, you know, and I didn't really read up on any of the characters. So I would just see like, oh, okay, that looks like the scholar. Like, should I, I want a scholar in my party. Like, I will make the trek to go over there. And fast travel super easy. You know, you can't fast travel everywhere, but like the main cities.
Oh, okay.
And finding a new town just rules every single time. Like every time you like get to a new area, like hearing the tune, getting the vibe. Speaking of open world, actually, this is the most surprising thing. When I first heard it, I was like, that's so weird, and I don't think I like that. And like 30 seconds later, I was like, no, that's a good idea. Only for this kind of type of game. The right trigger, just day night.
Yep.
Like,
that
just takes like 5 seconds to do transition, and then like, whoop, it's night. And I was like, oh, that just breaks everything. I'm like, that doesn't really feel like a game, you know, that's actually going through passage of time. And then like a minute went by, and I was over it. I was like, oh no, this is I'm going to an area, and like I talked to somebody, and they're like, there's a merchant that's here at night, and it's like, I'm not, you know. I'm doing so much. Am I really going to come back and remember? Like, oh, I only got 8 more hours. Like, boop, button hit. You know, everything transitions. There he is. There's a fire burning there now. Like, so every place you go to, the game has a lot of that actually, even in its systems. Where like almost every time you get somewhere, there's like 2 different options, that you can do for classes and ways you're going and stuff. Pretty world.
Alex Stream wrote in and said, "Sup, dudes? I'm loving Octopath Traveler 2 so far. The visuals are gorgeous and the soundtrack is stellar. Some of the narrative is hit or miss for me, but I've only seen the first chapter for most characters. How would you rank each character / storyline so far? Particio is currently my favorite. I'm glad I picked him as my protagonist. Is that who you picked?
That's who I started
Okay.
with. Yeah, that
Guy's in a
was
fedora. It's like, how can you go wrong?
yeah. The running. There's one saying he runs the animation like he holds his hat down and stuff.
right, yeah.
It's like when he's older. Yeah.
Yeah, who you liking the most, Jones?
You know what? It's funny because I'm like, damn it, somebody's gonna if it's not a member of the community, it's gonna be Brad or Damiani that'll be like, so who's your favorite? I'm like, okay, I got to know this. Yeah, Hikari I picked. Hikari was fun, but kind of traditional. Just kind of like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen. Like his older brother shows up and he's like much bigger, like character model than you. It's like, gee, I'm not probably gonna fight you sometime. Oswald was pretty cool. He was the one that was in prison, so he would probably be top 4. Agnes was fine, but she's a dancer, and it just kind of reminded me of, I don't know, like I got a lot of vibes of the dancer from the first game. I don't know how. I think it's very typical that if you have a dancer character, they're gonna like want to dance, and so they're gonna like live in a town and be like, I want to leave and dance. So it's kind of like the same vibe. Throne? Do you think?
No,
Throne
yeah.
That's Throne. She's the thief.
Yeah.
Her story was kind of, there was like a twist in it, but it was kind of typical. It's just that city you start in is so great. God, they're all really good. Like Caddy is the classic. Doesn't remember what she did, but like how you're tied into that stuff was definitely interesting. I think like of all the stories, I was like most curious. Like I have no idea where she's going. Who's the kid? Temento. Temento's probably be on the bottom. He was a cleric, I think. I can't remember what that class is, the holy priest kind of. And yeah, his was pretty typical. Odette's was fun because she's a hunter, and I love hunters, love like beastmasters and stuff. But like that was pretty. Like, you are the chosen one. Go fight people. That was kind of typical. So cool. But it's to rank 1 through 8. I don't know. They're all cool for different reasons.
When you're not even finished with all their stories, probably yet.
Cool. Because there might be a character that I'm like, character story is pretty typical, but the character themselves
cool.
is very interesting, and I'm curious to see where they go.
Neo JD wrote in and said, I feel like I'm in the minority with Octopath Traveler 2 by saying I prefer the original. I think it has a better foundation overall with the art design, characters, and stories. 2 mainly improves on the visuals, but the biggest thing it does to let you use is 2 times speed on everything. Replaying the original without this makes it feel super slow and so annoying. Have you guys ever found a game you love made practically unplayable by an improvement in its sequel?
I don't know about sequel, but going
Follow-up?
with that battle speed. All the re-releases of Final Fantasy VII with like increased battle
without it,
speed.
you mean?
Please.
Yeah,
Dude,
without it, it's like I can't play OG versions anymore without that.
Play Final Fantasy 9 without that, dude. Good lord.
Yeah, I need it.
It's like 20 minutes to start a battle.
I have to have
They
it.
had the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes I play every single day.
Yeah.
And shout out to the guild. And they had 2 times speed when the game launched, and then they added 4 times speed later. And it's just like going back even to 2 times, like
Real
which is
slow.
funny. It's just a bunch of Jedi.
Yeah.
Like the Clone Wars teams, man, like they all synergize off each other to fire, and so the Geonosians all like fly and attack, and so they proc like all the different attacks. Like it's very fast.
Not having spin dash in Sonic 1. Frustrating.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Everyone goes and tries to do it. Like, it's not in that one. It's like, wait, what? I can't just hold down and charge and go fast? Like,
Right.
okay.
I remember SSX Tricky had different controls from SSX, and then 3 to Tricky, and then like they all were weird in that way of being like, what about this method? And it's like, yeah, I just got good at the old one. And I remember kind of ultimately being like, okay, I see what you're doing. Like this, you've added more functionality, but it's like, I remember that always was jarring. Getting into it didn't necessarily make it better.
Slide in Mega Man.
The slide?
Yeah.
Dude, in Mega Man 3. Yeah, when they added it, dude.
What was speaking of like awesome RPGs, was it 12 that didn't have an overworld for the first time? What was the first one? It was
10.
Like 10. Yeah, I was like,
10.
Yeah, 10 had like
I
that
never
world
finished
map.
10, and I remember like,
Yeah, that world map, but like it was interconnected zones.
Yeah.
You didn't like walk across the world map again.
but 12 as well, because I remember the arrows. Like you could
12
see
was
the-
like
I'm gonna fly over
12 was
there.
like Final Fantasy 11, pretty much how it's set up.
But
in the zone, yeah.
Like you actually could walk across all the zones that connected. Where it's 10, sometimes you like go on a ship and jump away.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't. You don't quite feel the
Yeah.
same sense of connection.
Yeah.
in some
I think that's one of the
parts.
best things about Bravely Default. 2 came out. Boy, did I skip 2. Yeah, I never played 2.
Yeah, 2 was good.
But 1, I remember when I got to the overworld, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
where have these been? You know, like these are so much fun.
Yeah.
So unrealistic looking, but just so fun
Dragon
and
Quest.
immersive.
11 had it right.
The speed up?
Overworld.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh, right.
it
No,
was
yeah, the
big
airships
zones,
and stuff.
but
Yeah,
like,
that was great.
oh, no, I mean, there's like an overworld. It wasn't like 11's weird because it's like the 3DS version and also
That's
the-
what. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm.
There was like,
confused,
yeah. I mean, you got like, you were like cruising on like a flying thing in the boat, and it was kind of like a huge zone.
Yeah.
Almost
I
too.
wonder what 12 is gonna do.
12, dude. I have high expectations for 12. Obviously.
Are there rumblings for that?
I mean, we just know it exists.
Yeah,
that's it.
that's
We
it.
know.
Right.
I think we
Logo.
know the title, and that's
Right.
about it. But
It's kind of like a new Madden coming out. You're like, okay.
Yeah. See you then. Damiani, I think you are correct with the Mega Man slide being the number one improvement.
Yeah.
Because I could argue the Charge Buster is being kind of annoying, just charging it all the time, but the slide is the most essential movement in Mega Man ever, dude. Mm-hmm. You nailed it. God, I love Mega Man 3. Fuck. All right, let's talk about the next game. So, Dead Cells. Dead Cells recently got Castlevania DLC.
Dude.
So
Yes.
I had never played Dead Cells ever. I know
So-
Mike liked it a lot. So I was like, okay, you got Castlevania DLC. You got me. I'll try it out now. So I hopped into this game. I didn't know like how to access the DLC or anything like that.
Very curious about this.
So how you do it, Damiani, is you just die a couple times. You're like this
Yeah.
you're like this like weird like ghost specter thing on like a body.
Yeah.
And it's a roguelike, you go
Yep.
through areas and all that stuff. You just die 2 times. And when the second, like I think it's the second time, like a bunch of bats flew by or something like that, like vampire bats. And in the area you start with, I found Richter. He was like there and he was like, hey man, I need you to like come help me do this stuff. And so one of the zones you went into was the outskirts of the castle. So I went through there. Well, let's go back though first. Let's talk about the actual game of the base game itself because I feel like we should talk about it because I never played it before. So it is a roguelike going through it. You were this weird ghost specter head thing on a body. It's 2D side scrolling. When I first started, I was like, I immediately wagged my finger at it because it's side scrolling. I tried to use the D-pad and I could not use the D-pad. And I was like,
that's
ooh.
the worst, isn't it?
Like, I hate this. I don't know why you do this kind of thing. But then I got used to it and it felt good after a while.
I feel like I know why they do that.
Sure.
Is your jump movement like very precise with like
Kind of.
how much you hold the analog?
Well-
Because you can't get it on D-pad. I feel like
like
if it's
I could be even more precise with the D-pad
All right.
side scrolling.
Gauntlet Throne.
I feel like that is the most comfortable I'm at. Like if I'm playing Mega Man X with
yeah.
a
I
stick,
don't like
feels
that.
whack. I don't want any part of
I
it.
had to do that with so I used the super advantage to play Mega Man X.
Oh.
Because I wanted the auto fire because I wanted to shoot as fast as possible.
yeah.
But I only had the analog stick. I never liked that analog stick, but like I did that trade off for that
Dude,
auto.
that Super
auto
Nintendo
fire is
D-pad,
so
though.
good. Woo. Yeah.
All right, what a trade. Anyways, yeah, so you go through this game. You start with basic weapons. There's weapons you find throughout the whole thing, of course. You got your stats like, this weapon does bleed or something like that.
Okay.
You start with a bow a lot of times, Jones.
Nice.
You can pick up, see if you want to be some range filth. Totally fine going through all that good stuff. Just walking through this castle, find a bunch of goons. Pretty easy at the start.
Okay.
I got through like the first 3 zones. Like the first zone was, just a ruined place. Then I went to like a sewer with like toxin and all that stuff. Then there was like a cool outdoor like ruins and all that stuff. Then I get to the 3rd zone. It's like a little boss fight.
Okay.
So there's not a boss at the end of every stage. It's like divided up into like stages. So you go through one stage, and there's multiple paths you can find to go to a different stage. Like there's tiers. Like first level, okay. There's like 3 levels. Second stage, there's like 3 levels you can find. So you can find which levels you go to.
Okay.
Go to like you see a stage you recognize. You're like, okay, I like that stage. I know what the enemies are there, so I'm gonna pick that stage. Okay, so you go through that, fight the boss, cool stuff. Get through there. Get to the next zone. There's a let me back up. In between each zone, there's like a little hub you go to, so you
Okay.
can upgrade your stuff. Like spin points. You get these like things that are called cells that are the currency you use to upgrade stuff, like mini roguelikes. Like Roguelike C2 has gold, stuff like that. you spend these on to increase things like, hey, I'll get another healing potion for each run. So now I got 2, or like when I die, I'll keep some of my gold, all that good stuff. But there's more things as you go on, like, hey, you'll get a random weapon at the start that you've unlocked. Nice. So you can kind of invest in all those things. You get that dopamine, watch the numbers go up. Everyone loves that kind of stuff. Progression, Hubert loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Long-term progression, so I know why he likes that stuff. Going through, I only played like an hour and a half of it, but it was cool. I had a good time. I just wasn't in the mood for a super roguelite at this moment, but I was like, I see why people love this game. It's really good. But I was like, I gotta see this Castlevania stuff, dude. Gotta see it. Yes, dude. Good. Very good. So like I said, the first level was just the outskirts of the castle. Dude, right at the start, Vampire Killer. Hits it off. New version. Sounds great. Really cool. There's like Castlevania power-ups in there too. I believe like the axe is in there. Nice. I didn't play through the whole thing yet, but I just saw some of the stuff like you fight Dracula in it. I think you fight Death in it. I was going through the stage and I found a giant coffin. Open it up. Alucard's in there. Yeah. He's like, "Why did you wake me up?" He's like, "Okay, I guess we're gonna do this. Like, let's go up there." He's like, "Ride this thing up to the castle." All that really good stuff. New Castlevania enemies in there. Like early on, you're going outside, so there's like the Fishman. You're going down there. There's like water, all those little ghouls, all the stuff we like.
Look like there's a lot of evasion in that game. Like,
yeah,
it looks
you
like
dodge a lot. So it just depends on your loadout, like what you want to use. Like there's shields. I don't really like the shields in it though. I don't use them that much.
Okay,
but you could like. Circle buttons, just dodge.
From what I could see, I was like, the one thing that I've seen in like this different from Castlevania is he's like passing through enemies. That like definitely you can like somebody breathes on you in Castlevania.
It's nowhere like Castlevania. You
so many, when I think of Castlevania, it's all about like jumping and then in midair you're like, no, like,
not in this game. You have a lot of movement, but it's totally those things like if you want to fight guys, you'll get more gold or like more cells to upgrade stuff. So it's, do you want to skip past all these guys or do you want to fight guys? That kind of stuff. There's some progression, the sense of you kind of unlock stuff in zones to help you get through zones later on. Like there was these like obelisks almost I found earlier on. I'd interact with them, nothing would happen. Then later on I found a guy I killed and I got a power up so I could go to this obelisk and it'd teleport me through the level.
Okay.
Cool. So making it just like a little extra steps. Like there were some things I couldn't reach yet that seemed higher up. I was like, okay, need some sort of long-term progression to get through that. But the Castlevania stuff from what I did play was really cool. I need to go through the rest of it. I want to kill Dracula. One of the best things to do in gaming always is send that bitch back to hell.
Do you know how long the whole thing is?
I think it's just like 3 levels, so probably a couple hours.
Okay.
Just depending on your skill level. Pretty easy to access to, so if you wanted to just play that stuff, you just die like twice.
That's cool.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
You don't gotta like beat the game or anything like that.
I didn't know like how you accessed it. Like I was interested. I mean, this could have maybe done them more favors, but like you have to own the base game to play the DLC. Like, which, it's kind of expected, but I was like, maybe they'll just sell it by itself and I can just play this because I don't want to play.
I think you could
Dead
get
Cells.
it. So
I just want to play this.
Dead Cells has like a ton of DLC too, like 3 different packs. There was like Dead Cells with Castlevania, and I think there's Dead Cells with like, everything.
It's like $20-something right now for the base game plus just the Castlevania.
I bought
DLC.
it just with everything because like I just want to see what it is. It was like $30 or something like that. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll just check it out. But like I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted with it. But I did play it. I was like, this is a cool game. I like roguelikes. If you love that 2D side scrolling action, it's gonna be right up your alley. Not there was one part where I died. I was crushing it. Okay, had a nice build, no problem. Got to a new zone. Some dude like 1 or 2 shot me. I was like, whoa, okay. Am I just too underpowered for this? I guess we'll just kind of see how the progression ramps up, but way too early to tell how the difficulty will be in this kind of game. You got to spend a lot of time with these games to kind of get a feel for that.
Is it, hopefully I'm not taking a patron question here, but I mean, it sounds like you're having a good time with it, and it's like, good short, content, but the whole time I imagine you were probably feeling, I just want a whole Castlevania game.
I'm always
would you
like
even
that.
take something like this, like fully fleshed out?
Sure. Yeah. Dude, with Castlevania, I'm taking scraps. I'll take whatever the hell I can get with
Would
this
you want
thing.
this team to maybe make a whole new original Castlevania?
Sure. I would want... I just want someone to make a Castlevania. That's not a mobile game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just want a new Castlevania game, for God's sake.
Would you take them remaking an existing Castlevania game with this style?
Yeah, totally.
So like Symphony of the Night.
Because it does feel like a little bit more like a lot of games are like, oh, this other franchise came along and then added these fun things, these character skins or whatever, like to this game. Mm-hmm. But this seems like a legit, like a challenge almost
like baked in,
of like, like we it's been fun to get, like you were saying, scraps, but like, yeah, it's I'm sure there's a lot of people chomping at the bit to kind of get the opportunity to reinvent.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so when I heard about this, I heard about it when it was out, and like when I was like looking at gameplay, I'm like, whoa, what a crazy thing that could possibly lead to something else, or could
prove
what a lot of the
I wanted
attempts
Yacht
did
Club
not.
Games to make a Castlevania game
I know
forever.
we've like talked about it.
They're
like,
not,
there's,
but I was like,
seeing this effort now, throwing another hat into the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, maybe it's also them like trying to like nudge, kind of like. You don't even need doesn't even necessarily need to be Metroidvania anymore. Like roguelite is another path that a
totally.
new Castlevania
I'm not
can
opposed
just
to a
be.
roguelite Castlevania game.
It's kind of like the hotness right now. It's like
Castlevania to
also
me
there's a lot of
is
Metroidvanias.
I'm all for them exploring different things in that franchise.
Is there anything that's done a hybrid of Metroidvania with roguelite? I know that sounds like how would that work? But like it would still be generated, but like it has some rhyme or reason to like multiple zones getting through them. Like I don't know if anyone's done something that intricate before. Like essentially it's generating a randomizer every time.
Yeah,
something like that.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'm
Where-
not sure, Damiani, off the top of my head. Maybe there is.
I mean, it sounds maybe too complicated, but that'd be sick if like
Yeah.
Castlevania innovated before maybe they
Yeah.
can.
It's also very Castlevania in terms of like the actual structure of it, the idea that like it changes, like,
Yeah, the castle
every
changing.
time, and then
Yes. That's such a good point, Jones.
and maybe you can like unlock the ability to like keep this the same because I'm still working on this
Rogue
or
Legacy
this
2.
area.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet about all that kind of stuff.
Like that's what Rogue Legacy 2 has. You can pay to lock a
That's
layout in a
Yeah.
zone.
Or it'd be cool if like that's kind of the plot of the game is that you're reforming the castle so you can get all the way through it and then fight Dracula.
Basically, just want any new, real, full blown Castlevania.
Oh
at
yeah,
this
I'm
point.
dying here, dude. Just dying. I mean, luckily the indie space has been killing it with like Metroidvania, so
Yeah.
it's like I'm getting fed, but it's like I love Castlevania.
it's
like,
alright.
we all do, so it's like
That's why it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the genre went away. It's
I know.
not like people ran out of
Bloodstained
ideas.
kind of picked up the pieces in some way, but it's like
that-
I want that. I want it to be
Yeah.
Castlevania.
Don't worry. Big 3 left E3 makes plenty of room for Konami
That's
to
true,
shine this
dog.
year.
Oh,
Let's go.
Not only is something on the horizon, get ready.
Let's go, Konami.
Summer
Announce it.
2023.
Bloober Team's doing it now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd be upset, or I wouldn't be upset. I'd be concerned. I
I'd be
should
concerned.
say. I'd be concerned, I guess.
First person Castlevania game.
But like, I want 3D
VR
Castlevania
Castlevania.
to come out.
VR
Whoa,
Castlevania.
cool.
That whip for
That
you,
could be
yeah.
pretty sick, dude. In VR, dude.
Watching it like
That'd be
swinging.
awesome.
this is like
Swinging
horde mode, like they're all
Yeah.
rushing at you. And you
Dude,
just-
throwing like holy water on some guy, that'd be awesome.
Having to catch the cross so then it comes back.
oh yeah, that could be fun.
that seems like a Connect meeting they had back in the day.
oh,
but then we're
dude,
like,
Jones,
no.
yeah,
Probably thought about it for a second.
probably. Konami. If it was Konami though, then it would have been terrible. No matter what, I had no confidence in them. I still don't, but it's like if you're not going to do anything, license them out for God's sakes.
True.
And it seems like they are.
I think that's the thing that's the most exciting about it is not that like, oh, this really works, this synergy. It's like there are a million synergies. We just named a couple developers that could do this. It's Konami's interest. And I'm like, oh yeah. Take the brand not just to like, oh, it's a skin for the character and like, yeah, the enemies are in there. Which is one of my questions is based on the Dead Cells that you did play, the environments that they created for this, are they different enough?
Oh
that you
yeah,
really
they look
felt
completely
like,
different.
oh,
Yeah,
I'm doing a
they
whole
are
thing?
like they are
awesome.
standalone. Like
Yeah.
this is Castlevania. This was made specifically for this kind of thing.
They should
feels very separate.
100% make
all
more
the
of that.
music, yeah.
yeah, sold.
All that good stuff. Casper Rodin said, "Greetings, allies. Is there any games or IPs you want to have a crossover akin to the Dead Cells Return to Castlevania style? What would they be? For me, I would love for Mega Man and Astro Boy to have some sort of a crossover. Love and respect and stay easy, fellow allies."
That makes a lot of sense given Astro Boy and
Yeah,
Mega Man.
of course, yeah.
that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
they make sense to me. Great question.
Well,
Sorry.
go ahead.
This will seem random, but this also ties into what the hell I've been doing for a year. Amanda and I got hooked on a show called Alone, which is on the History Channel, and they give people GoPros and they put them in like the middle of nowhere, and they can make it 50, 60, 70 days. Just nothing. Like they have like 10 items,
Wow.
and that's like the strategy. You can like go online and see like what was in their backpack when they got dropped off. And they have med tests, they have radios. Like they're not just like letting them die. Like the people are checking in on them. But like these people get pretty loony.
Yeah.
And like all I can think about is like don't starve. Like like all these franchises where they're like got to build a shelter, got to do all this stuff. It's like like it feels very video gamey whenever we would watch a season of this thing, and I was just like imagining like, should they make a game of this? Kind of like The Forest. Remember that like horror game? I'm like, should they make, should this be a game? Would this sell as a game, or have they already made this like a billion times? Just that idea of like you are by yourself in the woods. But I kept thinking like, what developer could make an alone game? What would the style be?
Yeah. I don't remember the developer's name, but the people that made Blasphemous, I would like them to do something with From Software, something from their catalog. Like if they just put like Dark Souls in that, like a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania, because I feel like Blasphemous has that edge and that sense of like dread and depression that those games have, and capitalize on. They sell it very well, so they do a good job.
Yeah, I can see that. I want the Valkyria team to get access to Fire Emblem and just make a Fire Emblem game in the Valkyria engine.
Wow.
Like with like real-time tactics.
That'd be sick, dude.
Yeah. So it'd be more like medieval warfare instead of like, World War II era warfare, which would be really cool. Although, I mean, I always wanted them, I was waiting for them to add airplanes to one of the Valkyrie Chronicles games.
Crazy.
And they have planes, but they just never added aerial combat, which would have been kind of like the next evolution.
That would have been insane.
Yeah. But if you go to medieval warfare, like they'd have to do
Archers.
like Pegasus Knights and Dragon Riders and stuff.
Dude, I would love that, Damiani.
I would love to see that in action.
Yeah. I would love that.
Yeah.
The people who make the Warriors franchise, is that the same dev every time? Like
Koei Tecmo, that's Omega Force, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we've talked about this a billion times with Star Wars.
Yeah. Chopping down droids or stormtroopers.
Where's the Final Fantasy Muso?
I don't know.
That's also like
the
most obvious one.
You got a Dissidia 2, but not.
You get Dissidia.
Final Fantasy Warriors.
Give me like
Warriors of Light Warriors.
They're gonna make blockchain Final Fantasy games before this.
God. Well, we got Stranger of Paradise Damiani, so there's some collab between them two already. So maybe
they're warming them up.
Maybe they're warming them up.
Hey, Muso time, baby. Let's go.
Maybe they're warming them up.
So I see Sephiroth storm that field and just go.
Oh my god, yeah, Octoslash or something. Damn, that would be sick, dude. Oh, dude, Shovel Knight with like DuckTales or Mega Man, one of those two. So Shovel Knight's like so inspired by those games. I would die if they did that.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a question or a comment from Evan Reagan. Good day, allies, and welcome back on the air, Jones.
Thank you.
I'm trying to understand the logic behind classic video game franchises not developing new entries, but instead showing up in other unrelated games. Castlevania, Dead Cells, Splinter Cell, and Ghost Recon, and Rainbow Six, F-Zero in every crossover Nintendo makes.
Right.
It just has me scratching my head. It's no secret there's an appetite for a new Castlevania. The Netflix anime did well, Bloodstained did well, the genre itself is booming. There are plenty of fans who would be all over the new entry in the series. Instead, here it is showing up in Dead Cells. Don't get me wrong, Dead Cells is rad, but why is this the only Castlevania content we're getting? Splinter Cell is even weirder. Ubisoft is desperate for games that don't align with the Ubisoft formula, and Splinter Cell is a complete departure from the formula and has a rabid, undeserved fan base or underserved fan base. Yet we get are Rainbow Six skins and a remake. Why? And a remake way down the road. And F-Zero, don't even get me started on F-Zero. It's baffling me. These franchises are clear-cut winners. A new entry would sell like hotcakes. What's the aversion? I'd love to know your thoughts. Lots in love, and tons of respect from Evan. Well, yeah, we are getting Splinter Cell.
It's in better shape than Castlevania right now.
Yeah, at least we're getting like a big budget Splinter Cell game, or kind of big budget, like along the lines of Dead Space, I'm hoping, of quality. I hope it's great. We haven't seen anything from it really, but at least it's like there's a pulse on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of alive. It's somewhere in some back corner of a Ubisoft office somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's easy to get caught up and say something's going to sell like hotcakes.
True.
Because there's demand for it, but
how big is that demand
at the same time, that's like, it's just hearsay. That's your gut. Or like, I just know so many fans, and like, sure. Where's your empirical evidence? Example. Well, I'm gonna point out an example.
Brutal.
The Harada guy, best known with Tekken over at Bandai Namco, when they were talking about potentially doing Xenosaga and doing HD ports of those, they did their analysis. They did their budget analysis and like profit analysis about what they projected and said, we cannot just, there's no way we're going to make back money. We can't make this profitable.
Right.
We're, that's why a lot of these companies do like show your interest by like,
survey,
liking or, wish listing or stuff. Cause like they can take that back to
show the higher
executives and be like, this is how many people would be willing to pay for this. You need some kind of like tangible evidence. But when it's just like F-Zero, that's like hearsay at this point. There's like, everyone just assumes they make a new one, it's going to sell well. It's like, what's the best selling F-Zero game? And like,
yeah, I think people just assume because it's on Switch too, sell well. Like it easily could be the best selling F-Zero game.
But have a good chance because of the install base. It's huge. That's definitely true. Yeah. But other things to consider is sometimes the teams that made those games are long gone.
Yeah.
And no one wants to work on them. It could be as simple as like, we just don't have a team that's really passionate about this. Right. Do you really want to throw people on this who have no interest in making it and it's not going to be as good? So that's not going to work out. And then sometimes you said, why isn't it appearing in other stuff? Sometimes companies think it's more valuable just to like license out, the use of it. That could also be a thing.
Yeah, F-Zero is interesting. It just feels like Nintendo for racing stuff. Like they just are focusing on Mario Kart for now, and like that's their racing.
That's
game.
Huge.
I know exactly. I don't blame them. I understand it. Like we've talked about this, how they're just kind of turning it into like a Smash or almost like just characters from everywhere, and it makes sense to me. Like. We would love a new F-Zero. Don't get me wrong. It'd be super fun.
Yeah,
would love it.
Yeah.
Maybe Blood would give it a 10. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I understand why they're hesitant.
I want a concrete. Feel free to share this in the comments if you know an example of this. I want a concrete example of a company not making a follow-up out of spite.
Oh,
I want like something happened, they got angry, and like they're not making.
I like the honesty
one.
about Xenosaga of them just being like, it's just not.
Yeah, that was
this is a question I always ask myself about SSX to bring that up as many times as I can in one episode. But I'm just like, well, I guess it's just not. I guess it didn't work. It got that bad, in terms of EA's eyes, in terms of something that's really like marketable. But it'd just be nice for them to say, just like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I understand that.
We've run the numbers. It just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. Yeah.
But I also wonder like how much of that is, the teams and not necessarily the higher ups that they're like, makes sense to put Sam in this. And so they would pitch it on the way up as opposed to the big brass being like, wedge Sam Fisher in here somewhere or, put this character in that like doesn't necessarily make sense. It's like the actual team behind Dead Cells being like, knock, knock, knock. We think this makes a lot of sense. This is something we would want to do. And the higher ups just do not care at all.
Yeah, and to be fair, with like Castlevania, they've picked some pretty good things for this series that they haven't been involved in. Like the anime is very good for that show. Like they picked a good studio to do that and team, and Dead Cells is also a great team to do it. So I give them credit for picking at least good teams to do it. It seems like so far. I don't know about Bloober Team yet with Silent Hill 2. We'll see, and all those other Silent Hill games. We'll see, but so far it's been like okay, pretty cool, I guess.
Going back to Smash Brothers too, I thought all of that was fantastic.
Oh my God, Smash Ultimate! What a time!
A great addition, and the trailer was great, and all of that.
It was
the levels
so fun.
And all that stuff.
Just seeing what new characters would come out because they're so. The Smash character reveals are so nuts.
The F-Zero content in Smash Ultimate had a bigger budget than any F-Zero game in the past.
Probably, dude.
Probably not. I don't know, but like
Sakurai gets what Sakurai wants.
Well, yeah,
not really.
From racing, I mean, it's just I think the moment you put the racing genre and Nintendo in the same sentence, it's like why do anything but Mario Kart? Like why?
Yeah.
Like anything you could do for any of the brands that have anything, even like F-Zero, which is I know is not racing, but there was like that rumor about the
Star
we
Fox
were going to get a Star Fox racing game, and it does kind of remind me of that early exploratory Super Nintendo, those genres of just like Mode 7, Wii, 64, Star Fox. It's just any one of those things you could do, you could spend a dime on Mario Kart. Just like
print money,
get returns.
Yeah,
crazy.
I feel like Metroid was kind of in this position for a while, where like Metroid just seemed kind of almost like forgotten. It felt like, but now it's like I'm at least happy Metroid's coming back in a big way.
It's getting its like second wind, I would say now.
Yes.
Prime Trilogy was like that, first kind of like resurgence.
But then after that, it seemed kind of
it kind of faltered a bit. and now with
I feel like we're
Samus
back.
Returns was like, hey, remember this? And it's like then we had Dread, Prime Remaster, Fusion just dropping on the Nintendo Switch Online, and then like and then like
I missed that.
yeah, and
I just wanted to play that.
yeah, we got Prime 4 on the horizon. I think this could be maybe a good
Second
time.
coming for Metroid, dude. It'd be great.
Possibly, yeah.
I'd love that. All right, Damiani, you've been playing Fatal Frame. Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, is this the correct game?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
There's I
know there's many of them.
Yes, it's not even the newest one.
Okay, but it's a new, like a port, a new port?
Yeah, it originally came out in Japan only back for the Wii.
The Wii?
The Wii.
Wow.
It was a Wii game originally. We did an import preview back at Game Trailers.
Oh my God.
It was funny because I was playing through this. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this part. I played up to this part, didn't I? And we were like so sure. I've said this before, but we were so sure it was coming out over here. It's like, ended the preview. Like, stay tuned for our full review because like that was our thing. And all our previews, like come back for our full review. Like we'll check back for our full like English coverage when it drops and stuff. And like, just remember comments being like, "Yo, where'd it go?"
I didn't know there were any like hidden Fatal Frames. That's interesting.
So yeah, it never came out here. There were like there was a fan translation. There was definitely like ways to play it, either emulation, stuff like that. But this is now an official release outside of Japan, coming to more platforms than just a Nintendo platform as well. So a little bit wider. It just came out like March 8th, I think, just a few days ago, about a week ago. So pretty
fairly new, yeah.
And it's like updated visuals, few quality of life improvements, and it's just a Fatal Frame that a lot of people just missed out on.
Can you kind of just explain what Fatal Frame is, I guess?
Yeah, so it's very much like, I think the closest thing it is to like Silent Hill in terms of like gameplay mechanics. It's very slow, methodical, a lot of inspecting rooms, like and paying attention to clues to how do you advance. Like less Resident Evil, it's like less actiony,
right?
But like it is like kind of like tanky controls still. Very like haunted environments, like very claustrophobic, very small, narrow hallways, small rooms. But the crux of the gameplay is you have this camera with supernatural powers that is your weapon, your defense against these spirits. They're like ghosts, wraiths, some things, undead things, unnatural things that want to harm you, and you essentially have to like hold up and like frame the picture and get like the best framing on them while like with this intense scary thing coming at you, snapping that photo, and then you do damage to them, and then they usually like dissipate and then come at you. You gotta like search for them again. So those are those encounters. They're usually in like tiny hallways, tiny rooms, and a lot of jump scares. They go for a lot of jump scares in these games. And it's like a mystery. You're like, why? For this one, there was an island in Japan, remote island, where all of a sudden, like overnight, all the inhabitants died. And the authorities blamed it on disease, but like they all like, it's kind of like The Ring, where like their faces are all messed up, but like they covered all the dead people, like covered their face with their hands, so like it's like this weird thing, and like it's unexplained. But these 5 girls who were like survivors from that island have all been called back, and it's told in non-linear fashion. So the game's broken into chapters, and you switch between characters within each chapter, and you're bouncing between the 5 different girls at different points when they went to the island. And you sometimes retread the same ground, but like you get a little bit more of the story, and they're basically trying to remember what happened on this island, what happened at this hospital. They're all staying at a hospital. Now it's abandoned. All the ghosts, they got nurse ghosts, you got patient ghosts, you got all that kind of stuff. And it's like simple stuff like you gotta like find like a key maybe to open a door, but then there's more clever things like using your camera to snap like a photo. There's a lot of contextual clues that like light up things that tell you pay attention to this, and like taking a certain photo of a certain spot that might be like glowing will reveal a clue like how you progress. And then they got a map and everything that kind of like tracks everything. You can upgrade your camera. There's like different lenses, different films, like there's like lenses that like either like do like everything that power you up, and then there's like these crystal spirit orbs that you can pick up as well that help upgrade those as well. So that's kind of like the progression path. And there's like hidden collectibles of these dolls scattered about that you want to try and find.
Nice.
There's like unlockable outfits. So to be fair, this game stars 5 very cute Japanese girls, and like
it better.
The series, it better. Very good fashion for the default outfits, but
Nice.
I mean, there's some accessories and other fashion options. I think
course.
Anything added for this version? Anything that they?
Well, I think the original one of those Nintendo versions for 5 had extra like a Samus outfit or something like that.
Yes.
But there are definitely been some like scantily clad outfits. I don't think they've made the cut this time. So little. I saw a photo of one. I was like, I don't know why you'd be walking around in a haunted building in that,
dude.
But
paid DLC, make it happen.
there you go. I don't think those made it in, but that's something. There are like unlockables as an incentive to like
love that stuff.
There's like opportunities to where a ghost will appear, but it's like not a confrontation. Where it's like you have a limited time to try and snap a photo of them, and like you earn points, and those points can be spent to redeem items. Like you can redeem like. Some of those more powerful films are finite. They're consumable. You get maybe 10 of them, and then you're out. And you got to go back to the really weak one. Healing items. They got like basic healing, full heal. They have a stone that will like if you just lose all your health, it'll just insta refill you, kind of like an auto phoenix down. Like it's the ghosts will come out of nowhere, and you'll get grabbed a lot, and you got to like shake and fight them off. And it's very like it's very small environments, but like it's so slow paced because you gotta like you have a flashlight. You use the right analog stick to kind of aim it around, and like some points of interest, you got to actually flash the light on them to highlight them, and then they'll glow, and then you can interact with them. So it's not just like run through and like it's just there. You got to like spend your time kind of like searching for it a little bit.
Right.
They do the funniest shit. Like they do a thing. Some things you inspect something, it's like text just pops up and says like this is dirty. You can't make out what it is. But then there are a lot of things you pick up. They do this dramatic effect where it like zooms it like out more third person, like the camera goes out and shows your hand like slowly reaching out. And it's like they even tell you in instructions you can like go to retract your hand or whatever.
That's funny.
It's like why? You just pick up the item, but like one of the early ones, you pick up something
grabs you.
A jump scare. It's like it's kind of ruined because it does a quick fade to black to change the camera angle because of like it's like a loading a cutscene. But I think in the original it's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
Random thought, but this hand thing you're telling me, it reminds me of. You remember Luigi's Mansion, the first one? And like they would show Luigi open a door, and I remember it was like the best looking video game graphic I'd ever seen at the time.
Well, this game is like so much atmosphere. I want to ask. I'm very curious if Huber's played any of these because they seem
I think he's
right
played
in his.
Some of them.
This one seems like right in his wheelhouse.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's like very slow pace. A lot of like notes, like getting the lore stuff. Like he would absolutely love. And then like there's a little bit more to like the combat. Obviously, like you can use gyro controls, even like the PlayStation 5 to like try and tilt, or you can turn that off. But there's like you can kind of quick turn or try and quick snap. Because when you're using the camera, your movements slow down a little bit, and then there's there's the titular fatal frame is a mechanic where if you wait till like the last possible second and take a shot, it does like the most damage, and you can chain it, and you can get upgrades, attachments to your camera that will allow you to have like alerts that will give you better visual contextual clue for when that timing is.
Got it.
And I will say like. With I don't remember if this is the original version. There's 2 control schemes now. There's the original version of how all the games play, and there's a new action version. And I went with that, and it felt better. But I'll have to say, it took me a little bit to get used to the camera combat. I was like doing things I didn't mean to do, and it was like kind of frantic. And I did lose to one of them. I was like, I don't remember it being hard or anything like that. And then like. I practiced it a little bit, so like if you're not used to these type of games, there's a little bit of a learning curve. But once it clicks, it's very simple and easy. It's not that hard. Cool. You just need to learn to find like a corner you just back into and like just be very slow. Like don't try and run away. That's what they're trying to do. When you try and run away, the ghost like just teleports and catches you, and like they grab you, like they jump at you for jump scares. And it's like don't do it. Use the audio, like you can hear them breathing and stuff. So you get like turn like they're like right there. I mean, it's supposed to be a very disturbing game, and it's got great atmosphere. So I'm bummed out. These games never really like did bigger numbers or became more popular, probably, especially maybe in the West. But there's I think they have like a really cool vibe to them.
We've had like 2 re-releases in so many years. So it was like Made in Blackwater that just got
I think so.
re-released. So
I
wonder how many they got I know that two is like Butterflies, like the one
most popular one, I think.
So I wonder if remaking that would be if we're like maybe building up to something like that.
It's not a bad idea, Jones.
Because it seems like a new one. I remember like when the Wii U came out, it was like, oh, there's totally gonna be a dope Fatal Frame on this, and I think like there was, but it wasn't like I don't know, just didn't make the splash that I thought. It wouldn't be like this like perfect marriage of tech and the franchise.
Cool. Sounds good. I only played a little bit of the second one, I think it was. I think I rented it or something one time. But it's like cool to see the franchise still alive.
They're very slow paced, so I can see how people get a little maybe burnt out by that, and maybe not burnt out, but turned off by that. They're like want a little bit more action, and like the camera fights, like the gimmicks are just like the ghost movements get a little bit more advanced, but and you get more powerful stuff, but like it's not. Mechanically, it's not getting very, it's not very enriching like a Resident Evil boss fight or dealing with like hordes of zombies. It's like it's going for a different
vibe. That's cool.
Yeah, and again, Silent Hill, because you come across like one enemy in Silent Hill, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
it's like it's a moment.
It's not Resident Evil 4 or whatever, you're roundhousing dudes in the head or anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean resources, like you do feel like there's 3 difficulties. You crank up the hardest one, like you're gonna be feeling the strain of like your resources.
Cool. Alrighty, it's time for Sorted Out. Jones, you were not on when you were on the show. We did not have this segment now,
Excellent.
But now we do. It's a staple. It's a fan favorite. It's Huber's favorite segment also. So Jones, and for everyone at home who doesn't know what it is, Sorted Out is just something Jones in the industry, gaming, a game company, whatever. That it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing? You gotta sort it out.
Very kind.
Yeah, you got to
sort it out, sir.
Yeah, sort it out. Sort out your troubles. Jones, do you have anything?
Oh dear.
That you think needs sorted out? Let's hear it. Let's hear a classic Jones rant.
This is going to be a curveball.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's funny. That was actually something that I experienced a lot in my retirement, and I'm like, this is full on old man yells at cloud. Like this is just such an obvious thing, but it is so funny to me, and it's not something that is pertinent at all to our audience on a grand scale. It's very pertinent to Jones. But I've been playing lots of mobile games because I like, I want to get my books done, and so I'm just like trying to stave off like as much console and PC gaming as I can do. Vampire Survivors too, but it's so much Vampire Survivors. So just like a lot of games, like okay, I'll just play like some of the mobile games I've been playing, and I don't want to spend any money on mobile, so I'll play lots of free to play stuff. And there's ads in so many of these games, just constantly throwing ads at you.
Yep.
And the representation of these games through the advertising compared to other games is unlike anything I have ever seen before. It was so fascinating because I'll tell you the most tragic version of it. I don't know if you know the Final Fantasy 15 game that just came out.
I saw a thing for Jones. I thought it was a knockoff game from a different company at first.
Right.
Then I was like, oh, wait, this is real? This is like really Square Enix doing this?
So like I think I know what the game is. I think it's just like a turn-based, like maybe like a little more action, like you can actually like move the characters around, but it's like mostly just a simple turn-based role-playing game. But it's like even Square in the marketing of this game will follow a trend by one mobile game. Like it's hard to tell like what's the actual mobile game that's doing it that'll have some really cool distinctive style. Like one was like this really simple kind of pin design where you have an environment that's just stuck with like 6 or 7 pins, and you have to figure out based on physics how to take the scene apart because it's like I got to drop the rock to do the water, to drop the lava, to do the thing. And it's this game called Ebony, and that was like the one that did it. And then all these other games were like, yeah, that's our game too. And you're like, wait, it's what? And then you get in, and it's like Civilization, or like it's like a match 3 game, and you're like, where was the thing? And so some I love some trailers do it and some don't. It's like clearly not a hard and fast rule, but maybe something some publishers like have a spine, and they like put something on the bottom of the trailer. It's like the game is not this.
Yeah,
like,
this is
just, and that Final Fantasy 15 game. One of the things they do is a game called Last Fortress, which is a total ripoff of the Fallout game, Fallout Shelter. And so it was that, but just, not...
Yeah.
Fallout Shelter is kind of hokey, like in its, they look like cartoon characters. So they made this like very, even like the marketing is clearly the Fortnite characters. Like just like there's nothing original about it. They just kept like stealing all these ideas. And there's a Final Fantasy 15 trailer that's like, build a fortress. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And at the bottom, it's like, this is not the game. There's another Final Fantasy 15 trailer that's a match 3, which is a very like a lot of games will be like, yeah, there's this thing where the character's running through and you change the environment by match 3ing everything, and like it's not, it's nowhere in the game. And it reminds me of Huber griping about CG a lot, and I loved because I love CG trailers, and so I love him challenging me in that way, being like, I see where you're coming from. I see how some of this stuff can be disingenuous, but it's like this is just this completely leaps over that whole argument and is like, we are lying directly to the consumer in the 30 seconds that we have. And there's even like genres of that will be like YouTube, like they'll have like streamer vibes. So they'll be like somebody in the classic Damiani blue screen setup with like the headphones. It's like, yo, I just checked out this mobile game. I'm playing it right now. They're like not touching the screen and the game's like going on behind them. This is exactly what the game looks like. It's so obvious. I've always been obsessed with marketing, like, obviously from the game trailers days. And so it's like so obvious what they're doing, why it's working, that it doesn't matter, that nobody's going to change it. No one's going to take these people to court. So it's why it's a completely, I would not have brought it up, even in a conversation with the two of you today. But because you said sort it out.
Oh, Joe, it's so funny.
Please, all of you marketing people, just trust in your game.
Your product, yeah.
That they're just like, whatever we do, we can't show this game. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's a bummer that you don't believe in
your product. Yeah, mobile advertising is so insane to me. It's like anything I see on it, I just assume that's not the actual game.
It is the Wild West.
It's so crazy.
Games, one of the games that I'm hooked on is a sim game called Frozen City, where you're just... These people are like starving to death in the middle of the wilderness, and you're like, got to keep the furnace lit and got to upgrade these buildings. It's like so bleak and depressing, and like I can't stop playing it. And even that, the advertisements, I'm like, what? Some big woodcutter machine? Like none of this is in the game. Like the game itself is really great and compelling. Like why are you making some weird thing? Very funny.
Do you have anything, Damiani?
That was a good one. I'll keep mine short.
It's been a while. Had to get that.
Yeah, totally.
Just like sort out Nintendo with the Tears of the Kingdom marketing, skipping PAX East. I mean, that was kind of or PAX East. Yeah, like I knew that seemed pretty obvious, but it's like, yo, we're like hitting the halfway point of March, 2 months away. It's like, can you just show me a HUD? Just show me the HUD.
Sure, yeah.
Like, can I see the HUD? Like
they are considering that a spoiler, I guess.
Everything's a spoiler in this game, man. Like it's insane.
And it's going to leak like 2 weeks before it comes out.
Like,
and everyone's
I was trolling. Like I think they're not even going to send. Like watch, they won't even send review copies out because they're like so paranoid about this game.
I guess if they're going to be like strict with the game, I guess it'd be that game out of everything.
Yeah.
Like some
we
of
don't
the
need
most
reviews yet.
Yeah. Some of the most sought after game trailers for a game I need no trailers for to literally put on my list. If it was like, I will like pay for your copy of the game, but you cannot watch a trailer, I'm like, great, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I can hold off.
Their first $70 game.
That
Damiani's like, where's that?
Yeah, it probably worth it.
Dawn, are you there? Is Dawn there?
Sort it out, Dawn. Dawn might be sorting it out right now.
No, Dawn, do you have a sorted out for us this week? Anything bothering you in the gaming industry?
I'll tell you what. Almost nothing ever bothers me in the gaming industry.
That's true.
Know. However, something that was brought up today bothered me a little bit. Damiani bringing up, I think, or clarifying that Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, you do have to purchase it with the base game. I was led to believe beforehand, very tricky the way it was listed on several things, that you could just get the DLC as a standalone thing for like $10. Not true. Thank goodness Game Pass came through again for me big time.
Wait, it's on Game Pass?
No, but Dead Cells is on Game Pass. So you only have to, little trick there, you only have to spend the $10 for the Castlevania DLC. There is a way around it, thank goodness for Game Pass. However, I would say sort it out. Let's make all DLC standalone from now on. It should be, shouldn't it? I mean, unless it's absolutely tied to the game in some way. The way they hide this Castlevania DLC in the game is a little annoying, don't you think, Brad? I mean, it's easy to find, but you're saying, why on earth do it this way?
It's hard for me to say, Don, because I haven't played a lot of the game yet. Like I
just mean the entry point and how it's
how you access it instead of like
so bizarre and
I guess
easy to figure out. You have to it's not like just on the menu you say, wait, why can't I just start the DLC?
Don, you know what? I've been trained from Software to just like how you access DLC in some of their older games is so insane and like so far into the game. I feel like anything like this, Don, is a breeze for me.
Right.
No big deal.
Yeah.
This is like they're literally just handing it to me, I feel like. So I'm in such a weird position. It's hard for me to say, but I totally understand that. You just want to kill some ghouls.
But it's this, it was more like this, Brad. It kind of felt like they did it it's like they integrated it, the entry point of the DLC into the game in the way they did, just so that people wouldn't say, why can't I pay for this? You know,
Sure.
they kind of like tied it into just for that.
I get
reason,
that.
It felt like, because there's no other purpose
Yeah.
for making it such an odd. But anyway, I would love it if all DLC was
Yeah.
completely standalone if you wanted it to be.
Yeah, some companies do that, which is nice. I think The Witcher Blood and Wine is like that, which is like massive. Like, it's like a whole nother game just by itself. It's massive.
I didn't know you'd get that by yourself. That's actually quite generous.
And I think like Infamous Festival of Blood, I believe, was like that. Some stuff like that.
Blood Dragon, and then
Blood Dragon,
a
yeah,
lot of
you're
the
right.
subsequent weird
Some
Far
have been,
Cry
yeah.
variants.
Yeah.
Maybe some of like the larger DLCs, Dawn, or like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Does Gabby have anything quickly?
Gabby, do you have anything you want
Just
to
sort it out quickly.
sort out?
Anything? She doesn't have to have one. She doesn't.
Checking now.
Sort it out.
Okay.
She doesn't have one.
Shout out to
totally
Gabby
fine.
for sorting it
Think
all
of
out.
one
You
for
know,
next
that's
time, next
Everything
time.
is sorted. No problem.
we got some work to do in this
I
room.
mean, like, I don't think I have anything off the top of my head. Anything really that's bothering
Where do
me
I
right now.
start?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I complain a lot already, so it's like, I don't know.
Well, it's the like taking kind of a vacay from gaming just compared to like how much I devoured it like over the last like couple decades. You really, I'll see some people griping about this or that, or especially like the sentiment on Twitter. I'll see people like, "Man, hasn't been any good games lately." It's like you're wrong. You're just
Oh
wrong.
my
Like,
God,
I
yeah.
get maybe if whatever genre. I hear this a lot with shooters. A lot of people are like, "Give me a good shooter," and it's like, dude, there are so many. There's a
Great
lot
games.
going on
Yeah.
in that genre.
Oh, she's got one. Okay, what is it?
Gabby's got one.
My sorted out
Uh-huh.
is everyone on Reddit
Oh.
who says that I don't play video games.
Oh, shit.
People on Reddit are like, "Oh, she doesn't know that you could jump as Kratos in the first God of War. That means she doesn't play video games." I platinumed both Gods of War. And I have a Red Dead Redemption 2 tattoo. So I do like video games. Reddit.
Well, that's interesting because like people on the internet criticizing women for not playing games or not being true gamers. That's so rare, you know. Like that's such a
Yeah,
thing. I normally count on the internet to not do that, so that's very strange.
It often feels like I'm the only woman who receives criticism. Period, you know?
See, that's the problem. Is all the people saying that you're just predictable, man. You know, you just gotta find another trick.
All right, let's hear from the audience what their sorted outs are. We got one from Andreas Klanthaus. He wrote me in how to pronounce his name because I had trouble pronouncing it.
Klanthaus?
Clay, and how he wrote it is like Clay.
cool. Oh,
and
see, I
Thaus.
know-
Jones,
like,
you're an expert,
I
so how
ask
would
for
you?
these sometimes
Yeah,
and they don't
because
do it,
I think
'cause-
it's helpful.
Well, some people are like, "Oh, you know what? I kind of like the way you pronounce it." I'm like, "That's the worst that you're telling me I
Yeah.
do it wrong."
How would you pronounce that, John?
Klanthaus.
Klanthaus? Okay. As
What
the
always
expert.
helps though, hey, sort it out. What always helps though with the pronunciation, you got to put the dominant syllable in caps. So I'm assuming it's Klanthaus.
That
but
makes
there's
sense.
also Klanthaus and Klanthaus.
Jones, I didn't even think of that.
So having the clay be in caps shows Klanthaus. You know, 'cause there's always
I usually let Blood handle that in the reviews.
Damiani.
he's the
You know,
expert.
so it's that
Jones?
A is that's the one you really hit.
I will try to remember that. That is good. It's good advice.
Kirby, not Kirby.
All right, Andrea says, sort it out, Nintendo. There's two things I want to bring up specifically. One is how slow the Nintendo eShop is. I feel like you can't scroll down a page without having to load just a single line. It really makes going through the offers page an ordeal. Two is showing the same tutorial message hours into a game. Even after completing the first stream, when I enter a battle, it tells me, do you remember that you can do this and that? But yet, not once did it mention that I can block an attack. Like it's not relevant. I only found out because of the battle lab. It starts to grate on me the point that I can't play it for more than an hour before getting too short-tempered and closing out the game. It's 2023 Nintendo, sort it out. Which game are you talking about? After completing the stream, I'm not sure what game you're talking about, but that is annoying. Getting tutorials way later, especially like dumb shit like that, you know. Press X to jump. It's like, yeah, I'm 5 hours in. I get it. This is from Brandon K. Gain. Hello, everyone. Sort it out. PlayStation and Jim Ryan in particular, saying anything and everything with the flimsiest and childish logic possible to have Microsoft purchase of ABK be stopped. PlayStation might have a buggy, listen quotations, PlayStation might have a buggy last level of Call of Duty at launch that might ruin the perception of the platform. Really? Yeah. Call of Duty is known for its single player, and that's why it's the number one seller year in, year out. As if, hey, Call of Duty was known for its single player also for a long time. Tell me you don't remember that Modern Warfare campaign? You remember.
Oh, no, I've definitely played more
remember.
single-player COD than I have multiplayer.
You're out. As if. If reports of Ryan telling Activision Blizzard executives he's not looking for a new / better Call of Duty deal, but rather only being interested in stopping the merger are true, then this has got to be the most petty I've ever read gaming executive being in a long time, sans Konami. PlayStation and Jim Ryan in particular, move on with lives. Focus on your platform and games instead of contributing to the massive waste of time, money, energy, and resources this legal fight has been for 14 months now.
Whoa.
Yes, massive consolidation of mega corporations isn't great. But at this point, if you're leaning on second grader thinking to get what you want, then it's pretty apparent you understand you're going to lose out in the end.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be surprised, though, coming from the guy who was so anti-crossplay and tried to argue it was for children's safety. Stupidly exhausting to me. Now, I have some qualms with this also.
Okay.
I don't blame Jim Ryan for doing whatever the hell he can do to stop this deal. If I was at PlayStation, if I was Jim Ryan, I would be saying whatever the hell I could
Sure.
to stop this deal.
Yeah, I mean, he knows he's not stopping the deal. He's doing all this to get as much compensation.
Exactly.
He's pushing it the envelope
And
to like.
guess
You're
what?
You're gonna pay more. Than
Yes.
like, what even you imagine? You're giving us more.
Guess what? It's been working too. Now, obviously, when they say stuff like this, they say comments where you just roll your eyes out because you know it's like total nonsense. You're like, okay, dude.
It's like Better Call Saul. Whenever he tells his clients to say like, you're gonna sound like an idiot, but like if you want to be innocent, you're gonna do this. So like, his lawyers are probably saying, you want more money or want them to give up more? You're gonna say this.
Yeah.
But the internets are gonna tell me I'm dumb and like.
But that's not really going to reflect on anything
Yeah.
permanent, I think, with PlayStation's image or with his image.
No.
I think
Certainly in Brennan King games.
the fun things are like the them not like being okay with stuff coming on Discovery.
Yeah.
Like numbers of for
Right.
certain deals and stuff like that being able to come out. It's like that's they like before that would be like, wait, you're going to be willing to share that? And like that's the extent they're willing to go to get more out of this deal. That's how big.
Yeah.
It's like not Activision Blizzard, it's Call of Duty. It's like
It is Call of Duty because
Call of Duty.
I believe there was like pitches, to help get things through. Like, hey, why don't you just buy these parts of Activision Blizzard and have Call of Duty be separate and everything? Everyone's like, no, we want it all because like it's Call of Duty. People, the whole thing is for Call of Duty. That is the only thing PlayStation is talking about.
It can be viewed as like company level.
Yeah.
In terms of acquisition, like that it's that big of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, these companies are going to say whatever they can. They don't care what it sounds like. They are going to say whatever they can to get these deals through or to stop them. They don't care about that. They care about their shareholders and getting this through. They don't care about making you happy as a gamer kind of thing at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, it's a law that they have to like
Yes,
get their
they have to.
shareholders money. Like I also agree that like I don't think like mergers and consolidation, business consolidation like this is like for the best, honestly.
Sure, yeah.
Like in a perfect world, with like Activision Blizzard being able to stay separate would probably be better, but obviously unique situation. Activision Blizzard has a lot of big problems going on in the last few years that maybe being acquired by Microsoft, like they can get the house a little bit better in order.
Sure.
But in general, without those other issues going on, the company was like being run well. I would rather the company stay on its own than you lose a bit. Though this one, I do see people saying like, oh, there might be a chance for like Vicarious Visions can do work on good stuff, or Toys for Bob could go work on some cool stuff instead of being everyone working on Call of Duty and stuff. It's like Toys for Bob come back and work on a new Banjo game or something.
I mean, I haven't been pleased with some of the past IPs they've had at Microsoft. Like, I still can't believe we don't have a good Banjo game after all these times. I mean, like, Rare's times change, companies change. It's not the same thing. I understand that. But honestly, with this whole thing, I don't care if they get bought by Microsoft. Like, whatever. It's not going to affect me. I don't really care. It's cool. Like, whatever. I don't care. But it's just like, these companies are going to do whatever they can to get the most out of any deal they make. So they're going to drag this out as long as they can, as long as they need to. It's just the way it's going to be for now. So we'll see how it all ends eventually. But for now, They're just duking it out. And honestly, it's been very fascinating to me to see this go down. I know people are sick of it, but like, give me those details, dude. These juicy details. This reminds me of like Sega and NES console war stuff, dude. Like fighting it, but just like corporate console wars now.
Well, it feels like the playground. You know, it feels like
Yeah, it
feels
does.
like we're like 6 or 7 kids that like ran over to the one kid.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear this happened? And
Yeah.
just like, yeah, well, you tell that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I 100% want when this is all over, if like it works out that like eventually Call of Duty goes exclusive to Microsoft at some point, they make a 90s style commercial like, where are you gonna find it? Not on Sony
That would be-
PlayStation. Just
that would be amazing,
Leaning
Damiani.
so hard.
That'd be amazing.
If we just completely return to that era, that would be pretty
Just
entertaining.
like,
That'd be fun.
You want your money? You want your compensation? Here you go. You get this.
well,
as
like even like the most toxic people online are like, whoa, what do you do? Whoa.
Yeah.
There were some really good potential future segment titles in that post, though. As if, I
As
really
If,
like that,
yeah.
and second grader logic.
Second grader logic. Yeah.
It's a good stab.
Yeah.
logic.
Yeah. Remember, these people they're business people. They're just doing it for the business. Gotta remember that. All right. This is from Paulo Castillo. Sorted out. I decided to leave the country I'm currently in to go home. I was hoping to transfer my PlayStation account to my new region, but no can do. Now I'm told by Sony to just make a new account, not caring about all my PS Plus games, friends, and trophies. Other companies have figured out a way to let their customers transfer their account between regions, but Sony has been uncaring for a decade now. Come on, Sony, sort it out. Stay easy, allies. From TY. Yeah, I wish. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah, anyone who does that, like, it sucks. I know why they probably do it, because you could exploit like regional pricing by like
Yes.
and maybe some other stuff. But that's why you just do like a limit, like maybe once every 6 months or once every year. Because how like
Right.
I think that'd be a good compromise.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Something.
not having any option kind of
Yeah, it sucks big time.
So many infrastructure decisions at Sony that they're like, oh, we can't do because 3 years ago we did. It's a long story.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like,
They've been very weird about that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like they had PSN was like a nightmare for the longest time. You know, just like remember how long it took you to be able to change your name on PSN? It was
Yeah,
like
that was
insane.
but I like created a profile because I'm like, I want to save this thing for when we can change that. And they're like, oh no, you can give me like a new name, but you can't take a name of an account that's already
Yeah,
been created.
yeah.
It's like, but that's the point of
Yeah, it's insane.
It's like,
It's
why you
insane.
would make multiple accounts? You like save
Yeah.
a name.
Yeah, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for Keep It Up. Jones, this is the exact opposite of Sort It Out. Some in the gaming stream were like, yes, keep it up. You're doing great. I love what you're doing.
Oh, I'm gonna play right in.
Yes.
See, that was me talking about mobile apps might be unexpected. Maybe if you know me, but I want to play into something because this was really, really hard to back away from. But in the brief time that I did dabble in Final Fantasy 14, keep it up. That like
Oh.
I once thought I was like, wow, MMOs are dead. Like they're like I'm watching now the actual like death knells. Like MMOs are basically, you know, like games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, you know, like Apex. Like we're seeing kind of the, you know, like even was it Rumbleverse? Was that
Yeah.
thing that just got canceled?
Yes.
It's like, man, that can't last. Like it's such Avengers, but although I didn't think that was going to last very long. Like there's just a lot of change, evolve, like a lot of interesting changes of formats of like online games. And then you see something like Death by Daylight, like some really interesting ideas that do last. And I'm like, these worlds that I conceived, like when I was playing like Final Fantasy 11 and like Lord of the Rings Online and City of Heroes, and I was like, man, in 20 years, this genre is gonna explode. And it's like, there's just not many companies that can really support a game that's modeled in that way. And so like getting back into that, it's like, kills me when I eventually was like, I'm gonna be, you know, shooting an arrow in my foot with trying out this new career if I really like commit to like going into like all this expansion stuff. But like seeing what they've done, seeing the trends, the idea of like not only it's kind of like they're like the MCU right now where they've just had like this end game and now they're like, we're going to do that again and we're going to take this off in another direction and, you know, do this other huge arc. You know, having an opportunity to just do one of those is impressive enough, but they just seem to be making all the right decisions there for the most part. So yeah, definitely keep that up because that's good to not only have that really exciting game that's available, but just this like, you know, the beating heart of this genre that I thought can be totally obliterated. Especially angry Final Fantasy fans that were like, I don't like MMOs. You know, like this is not where I want this franchise to go.
Right.
And so yeah, for that to get all the support that it did, and
Yeah.
have events that big feels good.
Yeah. What about you, Dom?
Genre saver.
Genre saver, yeah. Here we go. Keep it up, Nintendo.
Oh.
Keep up not showing any shit about Tears of the Kingdom. Because I don't want to see anything.
Okay, I like that, Damiani. Both sides. I like that.
With all those ads on Twitter now, you never know when like a gameplay
Don't
might
show
come
another thing
flashing
off.
by.
Just like, let's let it release.
Yeah.
I don't want to know anything about it. Cool. Except you can say one thing. Just tell me dungeons are in it. That's all I want to know. Other than that,
That is my number one
that's
question.
all. I just want to know about dungeons. Just say the word dungeons in whatever marketing thing. And that's,
What if they said temples?
That's good too. Yeah, something that equates to a dungeon. That's don't even show me it. Just say it that they're in there. We're good. Just get me to May. We're done.
Get me to May.
Don't need to see anything. This is great.
Brand new Tears of the Kingdom trailer.
Nope.
Dungeons. And then the Nintendo logo at the end. I was like, thank you.
The Tears of the Kingdom,
Tears of the
Kingdom April Direct Dungeons trailer.
Yeah,
That's the trailer I've been waiting for, baby.
That's it.
Just in like impact font. Just
You can
Dungeons.
I'll allow one more thing.
Okay.
You can just tell me it's not nuts and bolts.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be nuts and bolts.
Just tell me it's not nuts and bolts.
But, God, I hope not. Don, do you have anything?
Yeah, coming off topical from today as well, I would say keep it up with all this crossover DLC. I love it.
Okay.
In the absence of a Castlevania that we all want, this DLC, this crossover is awesome for Dead Cells, and it's great. Next best thing, Power Wash Simulator. Another good example brought up today.
Yeah.
This game had zero appeal for me, Jones. I don't know why it was. I tried it, and I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't feeling
Sure.
But as soon as they announced these recognizable things from other games, these crossover stuff, it like instantly changed everything in my mind, and I immediately was attracted to it too, so it helped it that way. Mega Man with Minecraft, another example. Look,
Oh, right.
it's not what we want, but like, hey, if they were in a void, it's nice to have something, I suppose. So keep it up with the familiar crossovers of things that we want. We want the real deal. It's the next best thing.
Does Gabby have anything?
Gabby, any keep it ups? Checking.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Nothing.
I'll let you know. If it changes.
I say this all the time, but keep it up from software. You just announced a DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree for Elden
Yeah.
Ring? Yeah, baby. Keep
That's
it up.
that's a big deal.
Don't show anything to that either. Just
I don't
release
think
it.
I've seen anything, yeah.
Release it.
Armored Core 6? Yeah, keep it up, dude. Hell yeah.
They are riding a high off of that game.
Oh, yeah.
That is highly anticipated bonus
Bandai
content.
is very pleased. All right, this keep it up's from Wes Bates. Keep it up. Keep it up, video game industry, with all the great demos lately. There's been so many quality video game demos ranging from AAA blockbusters like Resident Evil 4 Remake to smaller mid-tier titles like Octopath Traveler 2 and even some great indie games like Sea of Stars. It's great to see the game industry bringing demos back into the limelight so that gamers can get a taste of the experience for having to shell out their hard-earned cash to know if it'll hit home with them or not. Keep it up. Yeah, demos are great. I love demos. Keep them coming, dude.
It's a great demo. It's the Sea of Stars demo on Switch.
We-
And it's great because there's a lot of moments you'll like go up into a door and there'll be like a person in front of the door and they're like straight up, right up front with the player. Like you will be able to go into this area in the final game, but you can't do it now. Thanks for playing the demo. Like you really get the vibe of like these artificial walls that they just kind of wedged into the game, but it really gives you a feeling. It's like this isn't some weird extra thing, or it's not just because sometimes the first like half an hour to an hour might not be the best sell. So it's neat for them to pick. I think you'd like do a time jump too. It's just these two little specific parts, and it's tough. Like I didn't finish. I got whooped, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go back through that. But I'm sold enough that I definitely want to play that one.
Blood couldn't put the controller down.
Oh, really? Yeah, Blood, dude. Blood is smitten on that game, dude. Blood loves that game.
Yep.
Great demo.
Mellow Fellow wrote and said, I really want to thank Jones for sticking around through the Golden Voice tier.
Yeah.
I had trouble editing my videos with my own voice, but the Golden Voice is definitely a treat to edit to. I am starting to voice some things, though, and honestly hearing Jones's voices reviews really gave me some insight and helped me push through it to give it another shot. A big love and respect to you, Jones. Miss you, man.
Thank you. I was horrible at reading reviews for years. Just
It's skill, man. You have to
definitely
learn.
something you got to do because there's like a comfortableness to it. And it's like any kind of skill that
definitely.
you're doing. It's not only just like the aptitude to do it, but it's like, oh, this is fun. I'm enjoying one of it.
Yeah.
They're like hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like you definitely got to.
Dude, it's like
get
honestly
cozy in the
anything.
chair.
You're not gonna be great at it when you start usually,
Right.
but you'll get better. You'll just get better. And you'll feel better about it. You'll feel more confident.
It's a nice shout out. $100 tier, patreon.com/Easy Allies.
Jones.
I will read anything within reason. There are, it's like I'm not going to be like, Brad's dumb.
Yeah.
You
you can write that.
but I mean, just to, anything that you want to try like fake or like make a video,
Yeah.
like I have read some scripts kind of in traditional review style, but yeah, it's fun too.
Jones, someone had you do a Sonic Frontier script, and we watched it on my community showcase, and I was
right.
like,
I hear later.
did I write this? I was like,
hear
this is
updates.
weird. It's like I was strangely connected to that because I wrote the review for us for Sonic. It was really cool, but also really weird and haunting at the same time.
Yeah, everybody's got different. I've sung some songs. I've done some fun stuff.
Yeah. This is from Mayuri P. Thank you, Capcom, for championing betas and demos. Seriously, more companies should man up and release demos for their games so consumers can at least have a better idea of what they are spending money on. Also, no time demo for RE4 Remake. Thanks, Capcom. Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
It's not time.
You didn't have to make multiple accounts like you did for Village.
That's right. And from what, maybe this has gotten easier over the years, but I just remember back in the day hearing the demos were hard. It was like
you have to make
really
the build.
exhausting for the team to like have to like separate something out and just kind of focus on that. And then it was always like scary to once the demo was done to go back to the game and be like, "Oh, we've lost all these hours because now we got to make like the real game."
Yeah.
So even more so, that's awesome when they pull it off.
Well done. It's time for some shout outs. These are some of our most generous patrons at some of the highest level. We greatly appreciate them for supporting us. And just like all you other patrons out there, support us. Thank you. For shout outs, we got Jabbawabs, Elthanas, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Raymond Wheeler III, and ZeoVGM. Shout out.
Shout out.
Thanks. Appreciate
Shout
it.
out.
All right, Jonesy, let's talk about the other game, one of the only few games you've been playing. Also, dude, this game, I always want to play this, but I'm scared of it, is Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Right.
Tell me about this game.
So,
What the hell is this?
there's another video that was like a year ago. It was
Yes.
the first game I covered after I left because I'm like, all right, I'm probably not going to play any games or something, well, except for Dreamlight Valley, obviously.
Yeah.
And Blood and I didn't even have to leave. We did it over Zoom, and I talked about it. And I did some fairly poor reporting. There was like 30% of the questions he asked where I was like, I don't know. I found some system. I'm not sure what that is. So I went back and watched it. And I'm like, man, in just 2 days after this video, I was like, oh, that's how that dumb thing worked. Like one thing is you can have characters follow you, and Blood was like, yeah, isn't that like a thing? And I was like, yeah, but I think you get bonuses. I'm not sure what it is. But you pick one of the things you can do in the game, fishing or mining or harvesting, or and they'll come with you, and that activity will level them up, will level like your bond with them, which can go up to level 10. And once you max out, you're done. So like, you know, Mickey and I haven't chatted in a long time because I'm like, I did all its quests. And once they, hit level 10, the more they level up, they'll give you extra resources. So if like you're mining, every now and then they'll like run over and be like, oh, woof, you found this thing too. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's nice mostly because it levels them up faster because it's like, this is stuff I'm already doing. Imagine like playing Animal Crossing. I'm already fishing. I'm already like chopping trees down and stuff.
Yeah.
Although you can't chop these trees down. But it's kind of weird to have like Elsa like staring at you and you're just like, hey, Elsa. Like mining.
Yeah.
She's just like, this is great. Yeah. And you're like, you shouldn't enjoy that. You know, like there are some characters that like, yeah, if Goofy's with me and I'm fishing, we're both having a really good time.
Yeah.
But for other characters, it's a little bizarre. But it's basically a village sim. You are living with all of these Disney characters. Somehow when you were a child, Yes, and you've grown up. You originally were there in this area, and this thing called the forgetting happened. So everybody forgot like what happened, and they forgot each other. And so when a new character shows up, it's not only like, oh, like Donald's been like stuck in another
Dimension
the
somewhere.
dimension
It's like some
for
Kingdom Hearts shit.
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
And so it's as a fan, it's kind of tough for me to wrestle. I love the aspect of all these characters getting together, but it's like, is this a Mickey Mouse or is this the Mickey Mouse?
yeah.
Is this like the Mickey Mouse from my imagination when I was a kid? Because it's like sometimes you like go into this other realm and you're like, yeah, Wally, come over to our area and hang out. And it's like, I don't know how much these characters, Woody would be like, yeah, let's just leave. Like, I'm just going to bail on like my
Screw
whole
Andy.
life and all my friends, and I'm going to go to this weird village. And so it is a kind of a little, to really like invest myself in the lore, LOL, of this place. I kind of have to like disassociate from like the real reality. Like, how does this work? But Ton of characters now. They've added a bunch. I guess it's still technically in early access. I remember them talking about February being like a rough launch, but I haven't heard like any updates on that. But they added Olaf and the gal from Encanto, Maribel. Our new Buzz and Woody were added later. Stitch was added, and Scar, I think, were like the characters post-launch. But they're fun. Like some Pixar, some they got the whole classic crew. No Daisy. Got Donald, got Mickey and Minnie and Goofy.
No Daisy.
And Donald, and Daisy's like, Donald's, they all live in like their own separate houses, and Donald lives in his boat. And it's called the SS Daisy.
Sick.
And it's like, so that's kind of fun, especially with Maribel. It's like, the house is like the plot of Encanto. That's like a very famous house. And so it's neat to like, tons of customizations options with the environment, so anything can go anywhere. There's like the zones are all specifically where they are. So you would have like way more flexibility with something like Animal Crossing, but at the same time, it's neat how each zone is like a desert zone and the beach, and like they all have the kind of a different vibe.
That's cool.
Whereas Animal Crossing is just generally like grass, you know, and like it snows in the winter. But I think the big thing, is if you're just like a Disney nut. Hubert tweeted about it the other day. He was like, I think I want to do that. I'm like, I don't know if Hubert would be really into it for the long haul, because it is kind of a grind in the sense of like there are quests that you do to bring the friendship up. You have to like go make, like, I want a seafood dish and this weird flower. And so you go every day and then hand that over. For me, I think mostly the two best things are just the ability to customize the environment and to see the characters interact. So you bring a new character in. Wally's really fun because Wally doesn't talk. So you just hear like, they talk, but they don't, not everything that they say is voiced. Which is nice because they do say lots of different things. And when they add content, it's like they didn't have to pay for the voice actor to come in and do all that stuff. So I imagine that speeds up the production pipeline. But it's fun to see like Moana bump into Wally. Like, oh, hey, yeah, you're that little robot. And just like they all have their own interactions with each other. And there's, the villains. So you got Scar and you got Ursula and forgot her name from Tangled. And so they're like blatant villains just strolling around. So like Ursula's like, that Ariel. And it's like, when is this? And like she's like, that time Ursula did that. I'm like, yeah, and then she like died? Yeah. So like, how does this work out?
Stabbed by a ship.
But it's fun. Like every now and then some characters are like, I'm not cool with her living here. And you're like, hey, this is just funny. It's a happy realm. We're all getting along here. It's fine. They kind of tease that like there might be kind of a big villain push at
my God.
The end of their story, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, tell me when Captain Hook's in.
But they're still, that actually shout out to Andrea Renee and What's Good Games, but she was like, I've been getting way back into Dreamlight Valley, and who would you want to have? And I replied with Peter Pan waving at the window.
Got it.
Because Ariel can swim, and Ursula can swim too. So if you're at the beach, like they'll just see him out in the ocean, like swimming around.
It's like some weird.
So I'm like,
tension,
it'd be fun
dude.
if they could fly. Yeah, I'm like, that'd be neat if Peter Pan's flying around.
That would be.
But
cool.
there's a definite progression of how the story's been going, and then the latest stuff with Olaf is all the snow area. There's like a big blizzard affecting everything, and then there's like one last spooky area, and then that's like the end of
Haunted Mansion.
The end of like the launch stuff. Yeah, there's some big pumpkin house that like
it's gonna probably
doors
be Nightmare
locked,
for
it's lit up on the
Christmas.
inside. Like I don't know what's going on. In
I
this
assume
area.
it'll be Nightmare for Christmas or something.
That'd be cool. There's like Kingdom Hearts decorations.
Excuse me.
There's a couple things. I think there's like
magic word.
accents you can put on your house. I saw some people tweeting, and they were like, "Where are the characters?" I was like, "That's."
Like
I
what?
imagine that's pretty.
What are you
rare.
talking about? Like patterns?
No,
or?
yeah, like the heart, like you can put on.
Jones.
Like, I saw somebody.
Okay, dude. Okay, now I have more questions. Number one. What's the monetization like in this game? How does this even work? It's
kind of
like free to play, but not, or there's like different versions.
There's like a discounted. You're paying like an early access fee. It's like
it's like $30 or something.
It's been a while. I think it's 20 actually.
Okay.
I think, and you get, and then there's like $40 version, $60 version, $80 version.
Okay.
And then you get what are called moonstones, and the there's like a gold currency in the game, and then there's three currencies. There's money, which you go, Scrooge just runs the shop, which is so perfect. And it's great that like there's so many missions that send me back to Scrooge. And I'm like, I need this thing for this character. And he's like, oh, okay, well,
Pay
for
up.
me,
Yeah.
you're going to need. So it's like casting him as Nook is like the most perfect thing. And so you give him money. Then there's also Dreamlight, which you get from like Animal Crossing duties that they have.
Okay.
Which are like stuff you have to do every day. And like half the time I'll just be doing whatever. And it'll be like, you did 50 of those. Like I wasn't even tracking that. Okay. And then Fortnite has like the pass that you can get. So the event they're doing right now is the 100th anniversary of Mickey Mouse or like Disney Animation or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Or maybe just the Disney company is 100 years old. And so they're like, you can like put Mickey and Minnie in a nice tux and a fancy outfit. And there's like patterns you can put on a shirt and decorations and stuff. And so when those events come around, you spend moonstones on it. And it's like Fortnite where every time you unlock a page of this, one of the things you can buy with the currency that you're getting from the duties is more moonstones. So if you want to like invest in that and then just purely from putting work into the game, make up, I think like 80% of the value of buying any one of these things. So from the moonstones I got at the beginning, they were having like a Pixar event. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to invest in this Pixar event, but October's like a month and a half away. And I imagine they're going to do a big Halloween thing, which they did. And so I just saved all the moonstones and then just cashed them all in.
Smart.
On that. And then they did a Christmas thing, which I was like, not that into. In the 100th, it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But so you could spend money on that. I have not spent money, nor have I had like an inkling to cough up cash. And
Do you get like sweet furniture, like themed?
Yeah.
Where you're like, yes, I want this specific chair.
So like Nook, like Donald's house refreshes every day, and you can go back, and then they've added this. I think I jumped in. Admittedly, I've not played this game in like a month or so, but they added stuff in the store that you can just outright spend moonstones on or spend money to get the moonstones to get. But yeah, they have pretty cool stuff, pretty cool costumes. I am pretty boring in what I wear. I'm not the type of person to like change my outfit every time. It's like whatever season it is in the real world, like the weather will change, but it's not, there's one period where I'm just like, it rains every single time I like jump into this game. But like when it was December, I put a sweater on. Yeah. Whereas online, I've seen people wear some crazy, crazy stuff.
How does the online work? Do you just go to someone else's town?
They don't have any of that stuff. It's just you. Yeah, it's just you and your town. But like meaning like I've seen people tweet and seen people like Disney will share. Like, hey, this new costume came out. I'm like, that is cool. I'm not going to spend gold on it, but that's neat that exists. And the one thing that they have that like I spent a lot of gold on it, and then I was like, wait, I just really cluttered my HUD. I didn't want to do that. But I was like, I can buy a second floor of my house. That's cool. And it's like, you want third floor? I was like, yeah, I'll buy a third floor. And the third floor means I have like the living room and then 3 rooms that go off of it. And I was like, whoa, I have like 3 floors now. And it's like, I don't even have ideas for what I would put in any of those rooms. And it's like, you want a 4th floor? I'm like, yeah, because I have the gold. I just saved a lot of gold and I didn't know what to do with it. It's like, do you want a 5th floor? I have 20 floors in my house. And I think you can just keep it just gets more expensive every time. But it's like, that's a big house. It's like, you're certainly not want to put your stuff. Because even, that was like one of the biggest gripes from playing The Last Animal Crossing is people are like, like I have other accounts just a place to put my stuff so I can like go into a house and like appreciate the stuff I can decorate. Whereas like Dreamlight Valley's like, that's intense. I don't know if I would ever get that many items.
Caleb Moran wrote in and said, Jones, the next Star Path in Disney Dreamlight Valley is based on the Disney parks.
Oh, done. Yeah. See, that's why I'm not buying into a lot of them because I know some are going to come along.
What are your personal top 3 rides or experiences at Disneyland/World? And I guess what you'd want to see in this.
Well, I mean, considering everything is like very house-based, like if they just had a full-size Haunted Mansion, even if like the Hatbox Ghost was only in the house and you could just go in and see him,
or
like,
something.
That would be nuts. That would be very cool. Yeah, because I have like a study in my house. I only ever decorated the first floor, because I'm just like, I'm not gonna. You have to like get in an elevator to go up there. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go up there when I can just run into my living room and grab all the stuff I need. But Haunted Mansion's always been the fave. Pirates is pretty cool, but like, see, the thing about Disney parks is just like 2 Star Wars rides in that park. So obviously any kind of Star Wars inclusion. I know they had Lightyear stuff from the Buzz Lightyear movie, but I don't know. I don't think they've had any Star Wars stuff. I've missed out on the store.
They're waiting for
a couple weeks. But yeah, any only Disneyland inspired stuff. Haunted Mansion, and then Pirates, and then probably Space Mountain.
Yeah,
Space Mountain's always the one. And I've done various Space Mountains around the world. Paris Space Mountain is crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sick.
So that would be fun. But and I think I saw something. I think it was a lot of moonstones. It was only available for a certain period of time, but it was the infamous like the statue with Walt pointing and holding Mickey's hand. Was like
so jolly.
Was like a thing you could get. Wow. And it's like I saw the materials it would take to make it, and it was like I don't have time.
Damn.
I could, if I made a goal, I could really commit and get that thing.
Damn.
But I'm good. For as much as I play this game, I don't need to like beat myself up. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Highly anticipated said, "Sup, Jonesy? How you been, dude? I'm sure that's already been asked, but
Good.
still, welcome back to Frame Trap. I mean it. For Jones, so Jones is a little slightly off topic. As for now, where are you in your Kingdom Hearts journey? What are your expectations, and what do you want to see in Kingdom Hearts 4, given the time has passed and we've gotten some good content of Disney IP since it's been revealed? Could Kingdom Hearts 4 learn from or take ideas from Disney games such as Dreamlight Valley, Fun, or whatever it's called? So, like, I guess, what do you want to see in 4, and what could a 4 have learned from some of these other games like Dreamlight Valley? I know you're very passive at this franchise.
Well, it'd be nice
ones.
to. I know that there's like not a hub in the traditional sense, but there's always like the area that's not from any of the movies that you go back to.
Yeah.
Hollow Bastion, is that what that's called, or what's the? Is that like one of them? Or?
You go to the N2, yeah. And sometimes, yeah.
It'd be neat if maybe you could customize that in some way, or because that's like one of the things that's really fun in Dreamlight Valley is. And one of the, like, I wanted this from the recent Animal Crossing, but I'm like, they probably won't. You can kind of move the camera now. Like, you can move it up and down, which is like, that's cool. None of them have had that.
That's really good.
But it'd be amazing if maybe one day, if my boy, when he was my age, was playing an Animal Crossing where it's like not locked to an area. It's like, let me look around. Let me
I
look
would
south.
love if Animal Crossing was like that.
But even like, I'd love to zoom out the camera a little bit more. And that's great, you know, like if I'm doing some quests or like looking for some flower and I get to like some, you know, because your town in Dreamlight Valley is stacked. So when you're like high up in the mountains, you can look down and see the beach. And it's cool to like look down there and just see Donald like looking out or like fishing, or it's neat to just see them like in that environment. So yeah, if there's a way
Little
you
hub
could
area you could, like,
create that, if you
Sure,
could, you know,
that'd be
like
sick.
I got an aquarium and you can fill it with or like I have a place where cats hang out and you can bring in a bunch of different cats from different animated movies.
Yeah.
But this is a trippy idea because when Kingdom Hearts added pirates, I was like, this is so weird. And Tron, I was like, this is so strange to have these
Yeah, it was weird.
live action, but they don't totally look live action. Well, I mean, in
They look very
Kingdom Hearts
different
3,
from
they
other
look
characters.
amazing.
Yeah.
But when on the PS2, it was like having Jack Sparrow show up was strange. But because it's so odd, and Kingdom Hearts is so, you know, with a franchise like Disney, it's so exciting to like, what are the two weirdest characters I could possibly put together? It'd be fun if they had a take on all the live action stuff, the recreated stuff. So like, what if both Aladdins met? You know, like what if you went back to Agrabah and like you saw Aladdin, he's like, oh, hey, Sora, hey, what's up? And you're like, hey, and like this live action Aladdin shows up and Aladdin's like, who are you? And it's like, I'm Aladdin.
That
And
would freak me out.
You do, you know, Spider-Verse with all of these, like Little Mermaid, the two Ariels
We're going to get
meet,
there,
like,
probably.
that'd be kind of fun.
I want live action, traditional animated, and CG versions
Of the characters?
of the like Aladdin.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
one's
yeah.
and you call
That'd be
one of them
wild.
the Heartless and call the other one a Nobody.
Yeah, you could
There you
totally
go.
do that, yeah.
I really like in Dreamlight Valley, Remy from Ratatouille, Buzz and Woody are like that big. So like
That's
you,
sick.
You
Yeah,
like
scale.
step on them, man. I'll be like, you know, in some town talking to somebody and be like, what is that? Oh,
I do
you know,
love that.
because there are like squirrels and foxes. They're like little critters that run around, which is cool. Animal Crossing doesn't have that. They have fish and like, you know, butterflies, but and you can decorate squirrels and like put on funny costumes on them. But it's just neat to be like, oh, it's a squirrel. No, it's Woody, my dear friend Woody. It's just fun how they did that because usually. I think, Toy Story, you know, shrunk down to their size. So.
Yeah, you're like a toy.
Yeah. And you're like that size when you go into their area. Like they're like as tall as you. And then when you take them to Dreamlight Valley, it's funny, Buzz is like, something's happened. He's like, you look a little taller than you used to. And you're like, well, you're a toy.
That's awesome, dude. Damn, I want to play that game now.
Oh, when you meet Buzz. The other thing about Dreamlight Valley is like some of the stuff's legitimately funny. You can like, a lot of times when you talk to Donald, he's like, I'm really mad today. And you can be like, well, that's because you're dumb. Or you like every now and then you can kind of poke at some of the characters or be really mean to like Ursula and the villains. Be like, you're not a nice person.
Yeah.
And it's funny you meet Buzz and Buzz is like, wow, I've never seen a toy like you before. And you're like, well, I'm not a toy. And Buzz is like, oh, I was like you once. And you're like, no, I'm not.
That's good.
Like,
That is good. I appreciate that.
There's good bits every now and then.
Okay, the final game we're going to talk about today is, we brought up Tears of the Kingdom earlier. I've been doing a Breath of the Wild replay in anticipation. I've been playing this game. It's been one of the most fun replays I've had in a long time. This is my third time going through the game now.
Wow.
Did one normal, did one master mode, whatever the hell it's called. I forgot. It's called Master Quest. And now I'm doing normal again, just to see what it was like when it was originally made. Man, we sang the praises of this game in so many ways. I have qualms with this game, though, too. We'll get into. But man, the exploration in this game is like unmatched. I think it's still the best exploration in any game that I've played. It is so insane, just from like the geography of Hyrule itself. Like, it is so expertly laid out where there's always some point of interest that you are drawn to, that you want to go, whether it be a mountain or like a little log cabin somewhere. There's always something, or like a pond. There's always some point of interest, something they've put there specifically to draw your attention to it. And I'm constantly just like blown away by that. Like, we played Elden Ring, and like, I love Elden Ring. Like, the exploration of that game is amazing. But Zelda does it in a different way, because like, Zelda is so much of the game is about you navigating the environment. In Elden Ring, mostly, there's of course like hard environments to get through, and like some platformer you like drop down stuff. But Zelda's like very much, just getting up this mountain, Death Stranding style, can be a challenge on its own. And it's been so fun just going through. I'm also blown away from a technical standpoint. This game it's still like one of the most impressive Switch games. Even the draw distance itself. Like, I look at the draw distance of this game. I haven't played Xenoblade 3, by the way, so I don't know. But I'm just like, dude, how did you do this on Switch? I'm used to stinky old Switch being garbage all the time. But it's like, dude, it runs pretty damn good now compared to when it was at its launch. But it still looks really good, man. Like, I could see, like, all the way across Hyrule. I'm sure some of the, like, Gerudo Desert, they've smartly designed, like, mountains above it, so you can't see, like, some of the desert in some areas. But I'm like, dude, there's just such a good design of this whole map. I cannot wait to see how they transform it. And some of the towns, like, I just love, like, Kakariko Village. I love their take on, like, a very traditional, like, old-school Japanese village, making them all the Sheikah kind of more ninja-esque. I know that Sheik was kind of, but just like diving into that more. But the story, is just kind of whatever. Yeah. It's like stuff that happened to you and you putting the pieces together from the past. It feels like most of the important story bits take place in the past as opposed to now. And I get it because they want players to have that feeling of, they want players to feel, or I should say they made Link feel how the players should feel, I guess, of you're in this world, you don't understand what's going on, the fish out of water syndrome, the amnesia, classic kind of thing. Yeah. They want players to feel that, which is so important to Link, is to feel connected to the player. Some of it works, some of it doesn't work, I don't think that well, but it is cool to get glimpses into Hyrule, especially like it's just seeing like zones like Gerudo Town. Damiani, I know you were big on Gerudo Town, just like seeing Gerudo Town populated, getting to go into it. We hadn't really gotten that since like Ocarina of Time, and is like kind of a town, not really. It's just like a bunch of buildings you would fight in. That's about it. But it's just great seeing Hyrule fleshed out. Obviously, and I love the music even more this time around. That just like very sparse, minimalistic music, I think works really well. And just some of the challenges of just getting up the towers themselves. Earlier ones you're just climbing up it, but some of them like they always throw in like some challenges like. This one's surrounded by like mud and there's a bunch of Wizrobes running around. It's like you got to figure out how to navigate it. Also, the shrines have been fun. I really like the shrines. The theming, they got to have more theming if they do this again to them. It cannot all be the same with the exact same song. It is too much. It is too similar. But I really like these bite-sized challenges. It makes me, like, I like it, Damiani, but it makes me just want them to do a full proper dungeon. I'm like, I see your ideas here and they're really awesome. I love how creative you could be with these, like some dungeons or some of these. I feel like you can do in different ways. It reminds me of Portal Jones sometimes, where it's like, I did this. Did I do that the right way? Was that the intended route?
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. I love that stuff. But I'm like, you need to take this further, dude. Okay, but the Divine Beasts are kind of worse than I even remember. They're really short, really short. Yeah. I was doing these in like 23 minutes, the entire thing. 20 up to the boss, and I was like, cool. My favorite one so far has been the bird one, I guess, just because I like tilting it and
that
you can
like trip.
That's like
I think in midair you feel what just happened.
Yeah, I've done the water one and I did that one so far, but it's been really sick. That one's my favorite by far, just like tilting it and like gliding, using all that good stuff to get through. I think that's really fun, but it definitely leaves room to be desired on that kind of stuff. One thing I've been liking around this, or I've been enjoying this time around also, is the stuff you kind of do in between or before you go into a Divine Beast, like with the bird dude.
Yeah.
They're very short, but I like them as like you ride on the bird dude in the air and the thing's shooting like cannons at you and you're jumping off it, like shooting bomb arrows at it. And in the water when you're riding on Sidon with like the lightning arrows and you're shooting. I'm like, okay, I like these little things. I needed more build up to the dungeon, I would say, because it could be pretty fast. They're like, hey, you come here, you meet them, they're like, hey, this beast is going crazy, you gotta stop it. And it's like very quick, I would say.
Sure.
I wish there's a little more build up to them.
Yeah, I would say Majora's Mask probably did the best build up to dungeons in terms
Yeah.
of like the stuff you had to do beforehand.
Yeah, I think
they're pretty for their time. They're pretty involved.
I've been playing Twilight Princess kind of randomly on stream too. I think they do a pretty good job there too of like stuff in between the dungeon. But I think Majora, like they do a very good job of building up the dungeons too in that game. The dungeons in that game, I don't think are that great or amazing. They get the job done, but the road up to that, I'd say yes, it is also good. The weapon durability has like not bothered me at all. I am swimming in weapons in this game. Like, it's insane. Like, I'm getting stuff all the time. I'm having to throw away weapons all the time. I'm just loaded with stuff, dude. I don't even have the Master Sword yet. I'm just like, I have no problem burning these weapons. I'm just like going nuts. But it's like the strength. One of the strengths of this game, and I can't wait to see how they expand it. And it looks like they are with Tears of the Kingdom. Is just like the weird stuff you can do in encounters. How you want to tackle this encounter. Do I want to use a bomb here? Do I want to pick up this metal box and just whack some dudes with it and kill them? It's like you can do so much weird, goofy stuff, like stasis on something, like whack it and it'll go flying into some stuff, or like I'm gonna slide down on my shield and like shoot guys. It's like all this weird, goofy stuff I love, and the amount of freedom it gives you.
Well, like every game has that, where in the weeks, you know, and if you're lucky for like a bigger game in a couple months, and obviously multiplayer, like, you know, always has that. Like those kind of replays are what a lot of those. Watching this stuff on Twitch and watching those best moments are like based on. But, you know, people kind of break a game or be like, oh, I'm really good at this game, so look at these weird little tricks that I did. And that just like years later, they just kept like pumping out these videos. Did you know you can do this one thing, or I beat this really quickly?
Yeah.
Or, and all of it didn't feel like, oh man, they really rushed that game out and you can break it in weird ways. It's like, no, there's so many different tools.
Yeah.
So many variables in some of these environments.
Yeah. And I think it's sick. You can kind of just go whatever direction you want to go. I really like that. I think that's really cool. Or if you want to go fight Ganon, you can. That's super awesome. I love that you can do that stuff. And I think with the game, Damiani especially, is I feel like the main point of this game was to capture that sense of freedom and like exploration. I think they nailed it in that sense. But they were lacking on a lot of the elements I've grown to like about Zelda, particularly the dungeons and even the story, you know, like having characters you can talk to or something like that. It's like you can talk to some characters, it's fine. But like you don't have that like that awesome companion character with you to help. Like Midna, you don't have like a Midna character or anything like that.
Right. Even Zelda was kind of one note for me.
Yeah,
she's
she's
just like, no,
she's barely like
this isn't working out the way I wanted. It was
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Just for like, it's just very emotional, and it's an interesting story and kind of creepy that you don't know what's going on. That like it felt kind of like I always am bummed whenever I finish a big RPG because I'm like, I want to run around and the game's like, credits, you're done, and I'm like, I want to go to that place and see if I help that guy. And so it was like you were going through that world that you won. You're like, what did I win? I don't even know what happened. So it was kind of creepy and passive in that way, because what that allowed you is you can go anywhere and the world it's done. You know, like the world is just kind of, it is what it is now. But yeah, you were totally lacking. My favorite moments in that game were always the tiniest little things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
that's what the game's about to me.
those like dragons, you would just see,
Yeah.
what is that thing?
Yeah.
And then you'd have to like get up really high on like a gust, and then you're just like shooting it from the air. Like, was more epic than like any boss fight, any dungeon. Like, just that scale.
Yeah, I think being able to climb pretty much anything was such an awesome addition. I love that. And the paraglider is like the most brilliant thing ever in an open world game.
Yeah,
it's
it feels very
so great in that game. Anytime you get to just fly, you're just like, wee!
Yeah.
You're having a time of your life, dude. But disgusted. Still Damiani about the amiibos. Still disgusting.
Oh boy.
Filthy. Filthy garbage. Got classic things tied to it, like the tunics. Don't get me wrong, a Tunic of the Wild I love, but you get it after doing every shrine. And it's like, what else are you going to do in the game at that point? And you got the sick tunic, but you got nothing to do with it. You want to get these old tunics? You could have just sprinkled them throughout the game for quests, but no, you got to have amiibo. And not only that, it's a random chance. So if you don't got it, you got to reload. It sucks. I hate it.
It was bad.
I hate it. At least with the DLC, they added some of the items you would just get from chests in the world. So it's like you don't have to use an amiibo. Thank God. But like Majora's Mask, you could like find in a chest somewhere, or like there's like small quest hints tied to them. It's like do that more. Do that.
Story angle, it was nice to see on the flip side the alternative telling with the Age of Calamity, the Hyrule Warriors game.
Oh,
Seeing, like, their-
dude, that game kind of annoys me because it just opens up a whole nother timeline.
Well, it being more of a what if rather than like an actual.
I guess. I
thing.
think I was disappointed by that game because it ended up being a what if.
But it was still nice to see like all these characters interacting together.
That's true.
Like it
That's
actually
true. Yeah.
that shows that like this is a little bit more not necessarily linear, but like you only have so many options where you can go at each point in your progression. So the game kind of knows where you're going to go, so they can do a little bit more of a crafted story, and that's the difference you could see. You could see in Age of Calamity there was a very coherent narrative throughout. You felt character development, you felt character bonding, their bonds, and it felt a little bit more satisfying in that regard. Regardless of everything else that game does, you know, because it's a different style of game. That was probably like the best thing I enjoyed was seeing these champions who we got to see so very little of in the main game, and getting them to have more screen time and some more interaction there. That's don't think they're going to go that direction with Tears of the Kingdom, and you really didn't get that in Breath of the Wild. They tried to rectify that a little bit with the DLC, but not nearly the extent you got in Age of Calamity.
I really like the outfits in the game, like different equipment, give you like better stats or something. I think that's really fun. I really appreciate all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm waiting for it. When I get to Lost Woods or whatever, where the Deku Tree is, I'm going to be pissed again about how that game runs right at that moment. A pivotal moment, dude, in any Zelda game where the Master Sword is, and it ran like garbage when I got there, just killing the momentum.
It's funny when there's just like a zone in a game. There's just like one zone.
It's like, yo, don't mess this part up, dude. Don't mess this part up. They did, Jones. It's just like, God.
Which makes you wonder, like, how, you know, there's stuff that upgrades I see them doing for Tears of the Kingdom where it's like, whoa, you're taking that one gameplay aspect to a whole other level.
Yeah.
And it's the same system. Like this, we're gonna be playing this on the same guy.
Same.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'll
Fingers
see how this
crossed.
works. Yeah.
Because that the whole game, I was like, this has got to be the peak. And Zelda's so interesting because it's like, as a franchise, because it's one of those franchises that like I'm invested in. But when we first saw Wind Waker, I was like, what? I mean, that trailer was wacky. You know,
Yeah.
Like to begin with the first look,
Yeah.
he's on the chandelier.
I remember,
like,
yeah.
What is this weird like demo? And I'm like, this art style, man, I don't know if I'm convinced. And play the game. I was like, I was wrong. I was totally wrong. This is amazing. He's super expressive. This world is beautiful and immersive. Like draw distance and shadows at like great distances. Same thing with Breath of the Wild. I was like, that was weird. And I don't know if I'm going to want to run around a world that like maybe kind of looks, you know, simple like that. You know, I think I was like expecting what the last two Pokemon games that we got, just in terms of like, yeah, the world's big. You know, like Arceus is like, oh, sure, I'm running around, but like, there's just the ground is not. It's not a lot going on.
Yeah.
And then just totally ate my words when I went through that world. It was like, nope, this is getting on any sort of precipice and looking down. It's just rewarding all over the place. And it's not like a typical game like Octopath is really great, but they are guiding me, especially if I'm like walking up a zigzag road. It's like, this is very carefully tailored to show me one view. And it's like, you know, the game, Miyamoto and crew didn't know I was going to stand right here and look over there, but like it all fit really well.
For the dungeon thing, I mean, the lack of having shrines, as you said, like, and needing a little bit more, and then the divine, you're replaying it, seeing how you didn't like the divine beast as much as even before as well. I would be, I know I've been saying I really want themed dungeons again. I would even just take what they did with Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild. That complex layout where you had multiple ways where you could progress through that area, to the point where it was challenging. Is this really a dungeon, or is this another just environment here with, you know, some crevices and hallways? And it is connective. There is a nice map that shows you that. Yeah. But at the same time, you're like, I don't even have to go. Do I have to go over here? I'm just gonna just go up here. Like,
It'd be cool if it, you know, just to enact that freedom, or just follow along that premise. What was neat about Hyrule Castle is it felt like this is not it's time for this point in the story, and so now I'm going to go into this area, but I'm only here because it is time to be here in this part of the story. Just felt like the castle. You know, it was like this was here the whole time I was playing this game, and I can go in and get stuff and then leave and totally put the game on hold and then come back later. Beneath the dungeons were maybe like that too, where like you go back to the dungeon a couple times, you know, and like now I have this thing I can go maybe a little bit deeper. So it's not just this like, and now you're 25% of the way through the game, you do the dungeon, now you never go back and you're done with that thing. Just so it has more of a feel of like, no, this is, I think it's what I wanted with the Beasts, where you're like, look at that thing, I can't wait to get in it. And then it's like, oh, that was it. A lot of build up for not a lot.
I think they do a better job. They technically have tried like revisiting a dungeon or
Skyward Sword
Temple Temple of the Ocean King in
God, dude.
where you couldn't progress past a certain point, but it was like purposely locked off. I think a different thing they could do is you can go through the whole dungeon, but you're gonna make things easier, or you won't see everything if you haven't explored. Like whereas in the original game, depending on how many of the divine beasts you actually completed, would impact the final sequence of the game. Whereas like maybe something you can do in this one is like maybe if you went out and did some more of the dungeons, if all the dungeons were optional, there is like a final dungeon thing at the end, and the more items you have, maybe you could do something this way instead of it's a little bit easier of a trek. If you got nothing, it's like, well, good luck. It's going to be very challenging, but
and you might want to do that.
It's
you might
doable
do the
for
hard
people who
mode
want to try
of a dungeon,
it. Yeah.
You know, like I could see that video on YouTube where it's like, went straight to this dungeon, did it in 15 minutes. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Because that's the other big thing about Breath of the Wild is besides like weapons and gear, you are locked in with your items once you clear the Great Plateau. Once you're off of it, it's like everything as part of your Sheikah slate. These are your tools. You can upgrade them, but you do not actually unlock brand new abilities like that. So whether they change that or not could be like a big deal.
Yeah. Expectations, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
We won't have to wait much longer, so we'll see. Raul Michel wrote in and said, "Hi, Jones."
Hi.
Specifically, Jones.
Hi,
I still have 2 friends who refuse to finish Breath of the Wild, and with the sequel coming soon, the clock is ticking. I remember you had said once that Amanda never beat Ganon, so I wanted to ask you if that's still the case.
Oh, totally. She never. But that I think, that never bummed me out because first of all, it's like, it's not like she's going to go into that game and be like, he exploded how? It's like, you fight him and you win.
Yeah.
You know, and then everything like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a couple things that maybe I'll clue her in on. Like, Zelda was over here and this was happening that way. But, I mean, that was kind of the beauty of that game is that wasn't, you know, like you think in most games like that's what everything is leaning toward. The journey doesn't have value unless you complete it in that way. And she was like, sure. I think she went into the castle a couple times, but was just like, I just don't feel a need. It was almost kind of like, I don't want the dream to end, you know? It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of still quaint. Because there is like every now and then there's like a strange like depression. You like finish a game and you're like,
I get that.
Even some games are like, you beat it, but then there's all this other stuff. Like, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
You're like,
I get that.
I've completed it.
Because you
like
still have that carrot on the stick still there.
Yeah.
It's like, I still
like a
have this
loss,
goal.
like just like a kind of crazy emptiness that you use. It's like hard to quantify. So yeah, I think she wanted to.
I feel that so powerfully, Jones.
Yeah.
I have to cut in. That is like
I'm done.
I'm plagued with that feeling. You have no idea all throughout. It's like it's like this horrible melancholy feeling when I'm at the end of a game because I'm like, if that I like, you know, I just don't want to end it.
But I don't think she realizes. Every now and then I'm like, you know, that's like this year. Like we're like months away from that game. And she's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll play that. You know, I think she's like trying not to think about it too much because
fair enough.
It doesn't happen that often that she gets bit by a game that hard. Yeah, she was way into that.
They also said, to everyone on the panel, how long do you intend to play Tears of the Kingdom before beating it? Will you savor it as long as you can or try to keep up with the conversation? Yeah. I have no idea what I'll do when I play it. I'm just going to play it and wing it. Whatever feels natural to me is what I'm going to do. I have no plans.
Especially at this stage in my life, you know, like not having to, you know, maybe I'll show up again on Frame Trap talking about Zelda. Maybe it'll be time for that. But feeling really no pressure to like get all the way
like I'm
through.
reviewing it, so I'll have to beat it, but it's like I'm going to go at my own pace and what feels comfortable. I don't want that experience compromised in any way.
Yeah.
I assume you'll be the same, Damiani.
Yeah, whatever the equivalent of like completing the Divine Beast objective is.
Oh yeah, obviously we're gonna.
Yeah, like
I'll probably do everything.
You know,
I
they're
can.
like, you could just go here. I'm like, no, I'm gonna try and like, but obviously not trying to 100% it because they put Korok seeds in this again.
If it's a Korok seeds,
skip
easy
that
skip.
crap.
Yeah.
That first game, man, they were like, yeah, this tower's kind of, you might not be ready for this tower. And I'm like, all the towers. Like, I just immediately, like, I was in areas I was not supposed to be in, but it was just, they were doable. They were fun.
This is from Joshua Lehman. Hey, allies. Hey, Jones. I didn't get a Switch until 2020, and I just went back to Breath of the Wild because I only got halfway through it last time. I wanted to prep for Tears of the Kingdom. I'm glad I did because now it's in my top 10 ever. Has this ever happened to any of you? So I guess a game you tried a little bit, then you bounced off, then you came back, and you're like, yo, this game, one of the best.
I think 7 Remake did that for 7. Just
Sure,
for me,
yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
it just was never my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Something I appreciated. It was like a musician that you don't listen to. It was just like, oh no, they're awesome. I don't, it's not what I want out of music or what I want out of this company or whatever.
But you
Even,
respect it. You're like,
actor that they were in, and when we did like the retrospective, I was like, oh, this story's pretty cool. There was definitely some characters that stuck out. I'm like, that's a really interesting storyline. But I think like finally getting into that world and then going back and playing the original, it's like, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's a very solid RPG
Definitely.
they made there.
Anything for you, Damiani?
Kind of struggling to think of something right now.
I
Sorry,
honestly am too at this moment. Dawn, is there anything kind of like that for you?
That happens tons. I don't know. I'm going back to games now that like I never used that rewind feature, but now lately, the last few months, I've been going back to old games. We're talking Super Ghouls and Ghosts, things like that, and just abusing the rewind feature to actually get through some of these games and get like a different perspective on these things that hold like super strong, memories of that I never quite finished or something like. So that happens to me with tons of games. Happened with Super Ghouls and Ghosts most recently.
Oh, man. Alrighty, it is time for some emails. Remember, if you want to send an email, join us on patreon.com/easyallies. This first email is from Goosey. Hey, allies. One phrase I found myself saying over the last few years when talking about games is, I hear what you're saying, but this tends to be...
segment name.
Yeah.
Segment.
This tends to be when talking about games that feel overlooked in comparison to other more revered games. Those games you wish others would see the same special qualities that you do. For me, although Hades was undoubtedly great, when people say it's their favorite roguelike, I hear what they're saying, but Spelunky 2 is, for my money, the purest and finest example of the genre since, well, Spelunky. Just pure skill and learning from your mistakes each time. When listening to your end of the deliberations, I heard what you were saying about Elden Ring, but Tunic is one of the most lovingly crafted games I've ever played. Every aspect of it was thoughtful and purposeful, beyond anything else released last year. I truly wish others could see what I did in that little fox's adventure. No one is wrong for what they love and everything is subjective, but what games do you hold dear that you just wish you could convince others was as special as you believe and as if they... I gotta reread this. Do you hold dear that you just want to wish you could convince others was as special as you believe it is, if they would just hear what you're saying? Endless love and respect from Goosey.
It's like a strong Huber energy to be like, you have to play this. Like I've never really felt that energy. I remember trying to communicate, having been a big Minecraft fan. I remember when we got to Godey's the year that Valheim came out, I was just like, I know it's not even eligible, but like I got so sucked into Valheim, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So I would definitely find like if anybody even remotely likes these type of games, like holy cow.
Keep talking.
That is a very cool version of that. But
Yeah, I don't really feel the need to try and tell people. Like I'll tell people like a game, but if like they are not receptive to it, I don't really feel like let down or disappointed in general. Just because if someone wants to play a game, they're gonna play it and let them play it on their own and enjoy it. Whereas more and more I'm feeling when people tell me, hey, you should check this out, you should play this, I'm less inclined to, because it puts pressure and expectations.
Sure.
Or at least I'm doing that to myself, I guess. So I'd rather just be like, nudge, like, hey, have you heard of this? Cool. If you ever have time, maybe check it out. But that's it. Like, okay, like that's it. But like someone who comes like, oh man, it's good because it has this, this, and this, and I'm like, now you like, I don't know if I just do that to myself where I put expectations and then like I don't want to play it because either I'm gonna be upset, like I don't want to upset someone because I didn't like it as much of them, or I just don't think I'm gonna like it. Period. I'm like, like, yeah, you said this, but I see it. And I'm like, I don't see it. Like, I get stubborn like that.
I think mostly I would feel this as if just kind of like the industry at large, consumers at large, if there was like some franchise. I remember I felt this way when Hitman, when they did Hitman, and then 2 and 3, the like starting to do episodic, and then all of the great stuff that they came out with. I was like, I like Hitman a lot. I hope this does well. Like I want other people to check this out and see that it is quality, because then they'll make more of it. Where if it's something that is successful and is doing great and is getting good sales and good reviews, I'd be like, I'm just happy to have it. Like I don't necessarily need like somebody else to check it out, because this is a series that will keep going regardless of whether a friend of mine happens to jump on the bandwagon or not.
I also, on my end, don't want to be guilty of like over explaining or giving away too much of something, because some of the beauty of like when you play a game and love it is like the discovery of it.
Yeah.
So being careful with how much you give away, even in your explanation of why you like something, could be alter their perception of a game when you're explaining to it. So sometimes I just like to give whatever they ask about, and then like not give anything else. Like if you don't ask me about it, I'm not going to tell you about it, because I want you to discover it on your own.
Yeah. I guess for game for me, that was like, this was Chained Echoes, because it came out at a kind of a bad time, kind of like early December. A lot of people were busy with stuff already, and it's just like an incredible RPG that I feel like just could use more attention. It's so good, and it's like only so you can only go so far like giving recommendations for people to actually like dive in. I wish more people just give it a chance, especially if you like more old school, or like it's like very Chrono Trigger-esque, Jones, and like how it plays and stuff like that. It's like I know so many people would like it, and that's great, but I also want new people to come into these kind of games and experience them. I would say this about Elden Ring, but a lot of people played Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. So many new people tried out from like the first time. People are getting in, like, what's the buzz about? I got to check this out. And I'm so happy that a bunch of people tried out. Even if it's not for them, I'm just happy people gave it a shot. And it got so much recognition that they deserve, honestly. So feels good, man.
Golden Sun was one. I had a friend who convinced me to play, because I had no interest in it ever, and they were like, I promise you. And what they did is they sent me their copy of the game.
Yeah.
Like, here you go, borrow it, like, play these, and like, if you don't like them, that's fine, but like, here you go. You don't have to like buy them, and actually tried it out and enjoyed it.
It's on my list, dude. I have the cart. But now it's coming up.
Wait till it's added.
Yeah, now I was like, well, now I'll just play it on Switch.
Rewind and stuff,
I was going to play it on my SP, dude, but I was like, okay, I guess I'll just play it on Switch now.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from C. Brog. Hey, crew. Hope you're doing well. Jones, doing audiobook narration has always been something I thought would be amazing as a writer myself. I feel odd about my accent as it relates to narration. I have a defined Southern influence that comes out sometimes, somewhat rarely, in my speaking, but I enjoy and would want to read genres that usually aren't associated with that, sci-fi, fantasy, or horror. Would it be better to practice hiding my accent for narration, or roll with it and allow authors to decide if they're interested? Do any of the Frame Trap crew alter their voice to sound different way for YouTube? No. Never alter my voice, unless I'm doing a joke. Or something like, I did the Toad for Achieving It Yourself.
There you go. That's a good example.
All right. Like something like that. It's like, I'm not gonna
that's the thing. Yeah, depending on the book, you will probably have to do a bunch of different characters. And so
yeah. So what do you think, Jones? Should you like?
So yeah, for sure. Like I just finished a great book.
Wait, you narrating this book?
No.
Oh.
Although Amanda's done a bunch. Shout out to Disney. She did the voice of. They had a bunch of what if books, and there was one that was like, what if. When Hercules got to heaven, they were like, Meg, do you want to be a god? And Meg had to go through this whole like trial, since she was she narrated the whole thing, so she did the Hercules
That's so
voice
cool,
and all these
dude.
other voices. And it was kind of fun. It's like I obviously know her really well, and then like when I listen to the audiobook, like she does sound like Meg. I never even thought about that. But so I just listened to a very long book called Heart-Shaped Box. It was a creepy ghost story. And the lead singer is this very kind of like Remy, Ozzy Osbourne, like kind of burnt out, like heavy metal guy. And you could hear the guy that narrated it was like, he was doing his best with the female characters and some of the other stuff. But it's like, no, he very clearly sounds like, who I would imagine this protagonist would be. And so it just depends on, the book that you're going to be right for.
Yeah.
Some people are amazing. It can just do all sorts of crazy stuff. They just have like are very expressive.
Yeah.
They will be definitely looking for, depending on what time period it takes place, depending on where in the world it takes place, it would be like, oh, that natural tone of your voice, that personality that you have. So I think that's like always the first thing whenever you're doing any kind of like long form narration, whether you're reading like the scripts that I read for Easy Allies or whether you're reading like a huge book, is like being kind of constrained, like, I'm doing a specific bit, or I'm like forcing my voice to be somewhere. It's like that could be tough to listen to for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours.
Yeah. Do you think they should just try to hide their accent for most things then?
No, try to get comfortable with your natural self.
Yeah.
Like you find that and have that be like kind of like the base of where you evolve from there. But because it's just a matter of comfort.
That's a good insight.
And it's good to it's just good to feel good about you and discover like who, because it sounds like, you're discovering what you sound like and what that your voice sounds like and what to other people and kind of what it naturally caters to, whether that is genre or character type. And so totally embrace that and figure all of that out. And then if that's not a big market, or if that's not, you're not pleased with your work, then you can kind of, stretch your talent and try out new crazy things. But when Amanda books something for like, or when she's auditioning something for animated or for like a feature or something, it's like she gets way more excited about like, oh my God, this is something. Like she auditioned for something the other day. She was like, this has like fantasy and science and it's a mom and there's so many things that are me. And so I'm excited to really bring myself to this character because then it'll feel grounded as opposed to like, whoa, this is really tough. Like this is so outside of the way I would normally sound. Because you just tend to book those things where you just kind of walk in a room where people hear for the first time and they're like, yes, that's exactly not like, I can clearly tell that person is doing contortions to like make that. You're just like, oh, I found him. I found this person that I imagine this character to be.
All right. This next question is from New Metal Ricky. Are publisher streams really worth our time? Last week, Capcom invited fans to tune in for a scheduled live stream event with the vague promise of updates on upcoming releases. This request was met with 10 minutes of idle chit-chat, 30 minutes of recycled footage detailing pre-order bonuses, all culminating in the announcement of a demo for a game launching in 10 days. This feels like the latest in a string of publisher streams devoid of any tangible info, seemingly designed to appraise shareholders at the expense of their fans' precious time. With the increased frequency of streams these days, is it possible to accurately discern which of them are generally worth tuning in for? Is the sterile method deliberately fundamentally stripping excitement from the industry as a whole? Yes. All the best from Scotland, Ricky. Yeah, Jones, I was going to say, I was pretty sure you missed press conferences like the most.
Right. Well, yeah, it is the water is muddy.
Yeah,
you are recalling a bygone era of really good times when
really fun times.
A lot of people would try to be on the same show. I mean, it was just like the Oscars, and it was like way more into the Oscars when I was a kid. It's like so many exciting things would happen there. And it's just like with just so much crazy entertainment now that it's just like, I don't really need to, it's neat to get the highlights, to find out after the fact.
Yeah,
and so it's like, I would imagine, unless it's, that's what's nice about something like a Pokemon Direct, because you're like, okay, like I know I'm at least going to be, if something's bad, I'm going to be entertained by how bad it is or how weird it is. Like Pokemon Sleep is actually happening. Okay. Like there are those moments where like, this might not be something that I'm excited about, but it's interesting to be there at that moment.
Yes.
Because that is admittedly, happening less and less.
Yeah.
And just some people are bad at it. You know? Some people are just, they don't know. They just don't have a good team behind it, or they are, way overselling what they have.
Oh, for sure.
Which maybe works for investors. I don't know. That would seem to kind of like, backlash. Are investors actually like not listening to what, the company is saying and kind of focused more on what the fan reaction is, or are they just watching the video themselves and that looks cool?
What about you, Dom, man? What do you think?
I think there's just too many in general now.
Yes.
They used to be less frequent and more special. And they were special because they had the announcements we kind of are expecting from these. And it's true. In the past, even when we had live presentations, like press conferences, not all of them were winners. There's like a string of like a few years where Nintendo had a bunch of stinkers where like there wasn't anything announced.
Fireworks.
But I would say for the most part, those were a little bit more consistent than some of the stuff we get now. But it just feels like a lot of like there's more of them and they happen more frequently. And so it is getting harder sometimes to tell. So it's really nice when a publisher comes out. Like, it was nice that Capcom said no new game announcements in this ahead of time.
I was gonna bring that
put
up,
your expectations to that. Nintendo will never do that. The only time they ever do that was for the the Mario movie directs, where they're like, no video game announcement. Because they're like, it's obvious. Right. They're like, we're talking about the movie, there's no game announcements in this. But like, it wasn't to like help us out, to like keep expectations checked. It's like, no, you guys are so insane, we have to tell you this. But yeah, Nintendo would like never do that for a director where it's like it's gonna like recap old stuff, or they do sort of, they say like focusing on this quarter or this half or this year,
do that stuff.
But they also break that rule a lot.
They do,
so it's kind of hard to, you know, it's also like a balancing act for the ones who do have exciting stuff. Like, what do you even say to keep, you know, people excited and watch it, but also keep like your secrets? So I think it's just there have been a lot of events where I think they didn't need to happen in a video presentation form. Like, it could have just been,
it could have been an email.
There's definitely been a lot of those that have happened in the last few years that just feel it was blown up, and you did yourself a disservice because when you do a video presentation, you're setting expectations. And then, they're just too frequent, so it makes them less special now. And, like, some of them we just tell now that there's probably not going to be something there, or we'd rather not roll the dice. Like, I'll be honest, unless someone with inside knowledge, like, gives a tip-off, like, I don't really need to watch any Indie Direct Live ever again from Nintendo.
Yeah,
like, any Indie World Showcase, like, I don't need to watch those live. Like, they just, you know, they're good to watch after the fact, or just get the press release and talk about them. But some people do like those.
Yeah.
There's
nothing wrong with you enjoy them. I was going to say first party ones seem to be the more where you get the stuff you were kind of lamenting about not having more. It seems like, you know, when you got a State of Play or whatever, a PlayStation Direct, or you get like a Nintendo one where like, yo, we're focusing on first party stuff like that.
It's basically been because, it's because there's more of those happening. There's multiple State of Plays a year. There are multiple Nintendo Directs each year. And then Microsoft like just split off and did a lot of things, and now it's rebranded as Showcase, but they're still going to probably do more than one of those. Yeah. Whereas in the past, you had E3 being pretty much it. Maybe Tokyo Game Show, but that was very Japanese focused.
Yeah, and maybe
actually it was like GDC sometimes had a few things back in like the 2000s. But it was like usually one announcement. Like it was E3. It was basically like E3.
E3 was the megaton.
So if you take everything in the year, like take all the last year's State of Plays, take all last year's Directs, and roll them into one that would happen once in the year, like in a mega one, I think that would have been way more exciting for everybody.
Yeah.
But then people would also now be complaining, oh, you have no more announcements for us to year. Like, what's going on? Yeah.
It would be that, and also a lot of stuff would get forgotten about. And like that's one great thing about them being spread out as long as like many more games get time to shine nowadays.
It has catered to the new standard where a lot of these companies don't like to do long lead times anymore. So in order to do that, you have to have a shorter marketing span, which, you know, just says you need to have more presentations throughout the year.
Oh man, the low bar, dude, like the one presentation. This was for a game. This wasn't even like a publisher. This wasn't even like a PlayStation event. There was some like Dying Light 2 interview series.
There was many Dying Light videos.
Where they were like, hi, everybody, welcome back to On the Rooftop, part 8.
Yes.
You know, and it was like, we're here with this random costume designer to talk. And I was like, dude, shout out to that costume designer. Yeah. You know, good luck to that team, you know, being saddled with that difficult development. And yay, first-person zombie games, because I'm a Dead Island 2 looks really interesting. We're getting more details on that. You know, I'm like, this is a genre I'm always curious about. But like 5 minutes into one of those, I was like, this is the word. Every second of this is just excruciating because it's making such a huge deal out of something that's just not that great.
I agree.
So the idea of being like, hey, show up. You know, indie things are really cute sometimes. So like those are really fun to watch just because like so much of it. I'm like, I don't know how you control this game. What am I looking at? But like having an event being like, hey, we're going to show some stuff. That's like mostly a bad idea. Like I think that is, you are rolling the dice and you're probably going to get snake eyes just in terms of like where people's expectations can go. It's like have one or two surprises, but like let us know some of the stuff that's going to be there. Poor Keeley. Every year to just like
doing his best, man.
You know, He's
Hard
like the
job.
guy in charge, but he's also not in charge of anything. He's not
Yeah,
making any
I
of
know.
these games, and so
He
it's
doesn't
like,
get. Yeah,
He's just gotta pick from
he gets what he gets.
what people are ready to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, this next question is from Son of Sparta. Hey, hello, Allies and Jones. After how two of the recent WB titles, Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, have turned out to be loot-heavy, multiplayer-focused games designed for repetitive grind and long-time engagements, with the goal of getting players to spend more money on these games after their initial purchase. I don't know if Gotham Knights has... What has Gotham Knights added? I remember at the beginning there wasn't, like, paying for stuff. I know, like, they did
the whole time, man. They don't have a lot of. That's the problem with Gotham Knights is they don't have a lot of content,
Right.
That's kind of tailored for it. They just kind of.
I meant, like,
that
paying
on.
wise.
Yeah, you can.
What could you buy?
Skins, I think.
Oh,
I'm trying
okay.
to think,
I can't
yeah.
remember. Well, whatever. Spend money in the game after to purchase. Do you...
And even if it's not a buy, it's like you have to. You're not leveling up the characters for these specific. Like the world is recycling itself in a way to keep you playing and getting
got it.
stronger because then you can do more stuff. And you're
Yeah.
just
No, I got that.
I don't want to do this again. Yeah.
Was there a battle pass for that game? I don't remember something.
I don't remember that being flashed at me.
Do you guys find yourself worrying about what could be in store for us with Mortal Kombat 12 and Monolith Productions' Wonder Woman game? From Grindy Crypt, dude, I remember the Crypt in Mortal Kombat. Do you guys remember this?
I've had it
I remember
explained to
my
me. Yeah.
Before they
I remember
changed
Mike
it.
was pissed because you could just
MK11?
pay and to unlock the whole thing.
Yeah.
From Grinding Crypt and unfairly difficult challenge towers to putting orcs in loot boxes and locking the true ending behind the game. This is Lord of the Rings. This is Shadow of War.
Yeah. Although that
I played that post when they like changed things.
Yeah. I reviewed that game without like finishing it because I was just like, that doesn't necessarily decrease the quality, the missing getting to that point. And that seems like way too much work.
Orcs in loot boxes and unlocking the training of the game behind having strong enough orcs to do everything in the game in their past works. Both studios have designed their games in a way that would encourage players to spend money to boost their progress and get the content they want faster. Now that we are seeing WB lean even more into this type of design with Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, do you think we should be mentally preparing ourselves for MK12 and Wonder Woman to continue further down this road? What are your realistic expectations and hope for both games, if you have any? I think you...
Yeah, Wonder Woman, I don't know, because it's just the one character, so that would seem kind of more focused.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a battle pass in both these games. Day one.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat seems to be definitely going down that road.
Yeah.
And boy, Suicide Squad, that's like such a bummer. Because I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to go into Suicide Squad and like, oh, they did it. So many of these other companies have made games like this.
Right.
And the experience suffered because we were just talking about, this is kind of like emotional trip when you like finish a game and get credits. And you're like, oh, it's over. And that's like what you lose from all these games is like, doesn't matter when the cutscenes or stories end, I'm so propelled to just like, and the Suicide Squad never leaves Metropolis. They're there for the rest of forever. And it's like that vibe just kind of crushes what expectations are and just kind of what we usually, the sense that we get from these games. Haven't played enough Mortal Kombat to know how devastating that is to like the usual model of what those games are like. But open world games and, like games where you get to realize characters in this way. Bummer.
Yeah, I desperately hope these games aren't plagued by these things. I understand that there might be some of them, and that's just a reality. But, I hope I just don't feel the same way I did like when I watched Suicide Squad, where I was just like, why are you doing this, man? Like, what's going on here?
Right.
Don't do this. Like, just the look on Mike's face, dude.
Huber.
God. Just like, actually, like, just like bummed. Not angry, just bummed out, dude.
Disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment. Hopefully those games will be great, the ones coming out, but I'm prepared. And this final question is from Robert Lee. Kind of a long one, but here we go. Hey, allies. Have you played any games that broke you? Moments in games that got you rattled, sweaty palms and banging your head against the wall, where you had to muster all of your gaming skills and knowledge to overcome. These are some of my examples. Wait, I feel like I read this email before.
We've done this question before.
I must have left this in from the last thing.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say
I wasn't
this,
on it.
I was like, this is last
Sure,
episode.
Jones. Yes, I did
we
not
answered
delete this email.
Yeah, I was gonna say we answered this on the last episode, but Jones.
Jones, yeah. So Jones, is there anything like any game where you're just like, dude, what is going on?
I almost always bail. I was always like, okay, that was fun. Like, didn't finish Elden Ring. I was
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Played a ton of it. I'm like, that was good.
Yeah, you usually play till you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, but Street Fighter 2 was always the first one, man. Like that was back in the Super Nintendo days. I was like, I really want to finish one of these characters' campaigns, but I can't.
Yeah.
And just Ryu, man. Anytime Ryu would come up as an opponent, I would just get
Mental
destroyed.
damage, dude. It's like
And I was very frustrated. I was like, oh,
So
because I'm just like beating all these games on Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. It's like, and yeah, I beat games on NES, but like the SNES was, and I didn't play a lot of PC. Was like the first time like games like had endings. You know, like it was really rewarding to like get to the last level, see the
Yeah.
credits roll, like some of the like, and so it really was sad when I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I like go over to friends' houses, and they're like, "Oh, look at you get like a little cutscene at the end. You see what happened like to Ken." And I'm like, I did not see that when I was playing because I couldn't, was not that good at Street Fighter.
I mean, I've been on bosses before in games for like hours. I felt like, you know, like many From Software games, dude, I'm just like stuck on them for a long time. But then like you just get it eventually,
Yeah.
I guess, or you come back, you take a break.
What's his butt on the top of the tower in the haunted area in Bloodborne? The guy who's flying up in the air and then comes like flying at you.
Oh,
You like
Canehurst?
fight him on the roof of Canehurst. Yeah. that
Oh,
guy.
yeah. What
that-
was his name? Martyr
almost
Ligarius?
broke me. Almost broke me.
Yeah, that was intense. I remember in Dragon Quest VIII, there's this boss fight, Dolmagus. He's like a huge difficulty spike. Dragon Quest VIII could be a very challenging game on its own, but I remember this boss was just so brutal, dude. I died on this guy so many times, Jones. Not even the end of the game. It's like halfway through the game. I'm like, what's going on here, dude? This guy is brutal. Ask Mike about it. He will vouch for it.
That's funny.
Anything for you, Damiani?
What did I
Anything
say
you're
last
just like,
time?
ah.
I mean, besides the obvious ones and what I said last time, I'm trying to remember.
You can just skip it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Don't
Yeah.
What about like?
Well, I'm trying to think of something I didn't say last time because I said Millennia and then I said.
Well, what about? Let's talk about like maybe some of those fights you do in Final Fantasy 14. Like,
Well, those don't make me say no to those because I know what I'm getting into with
Okay.
those. Those are meant to be
right.
like
Insane.
those are marathons, not
Sprints, got it.
yeah, so like those are patience. Like you will overcome it most likely. You will overcome it. It's patience and having 7 other like-minded individuals who are committed to that as well.
Got it.
So the fight isn't so much the difficulty is against the boss, it's like dealing with like scheduling and consistency and like the communication. So like it's more personality driven personnel problems than game content. I
Yeah.
mean the game content is challenging, but I think something like if you go into that like thinking like I only need to spend like 5 hours or something, that's like no, like it's meant to take weeks or days or weeks depending on the difficulty. And yeah, I think the game very clearly establishes that very early with their difficulty tiers
Yeah.
of content. Like there's stuff you're
Yeah.
gonna beat probably first try, or maybe like a try or two at worst. There's stuff that like you will beat this day if you just stay at it for a little while. Stuff you'll beat in a few days to maybe a week or longer, and there's stuff that will probably take most people weeks to maybe months. So it's like, and they very clearly delineate that stuff. There's achievements. I'm just like, screw this. I'm never gonna do that. Like the grindy, like super grindy shit. Where
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, bye.
No thanks.
Like not even gonna try this. Yeah.
yeah, achievements, man.
Just make me fall
Brutal.
asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. Robert Lee, thanks for you got bonus question, dude. Double
Yeah.
time. Lucky you. That's it for Frame Trap, everybody. Jones, thanks for being here, man.
I love it.
It's fun chatting with you about games. I love catching up with you and see what you're
so
up to.
excited. When you gave me the time, I was like, please, I would love to be on Frame Trap. Hopefully I can make it
Yeah.
happen. Shout out to Amanda, who was, of course,
Shout out to Amanda,
watching my
absolutely.
3.5-year-old
Hold the fort down. Yeah,
Milo
that's right.
to make this happen.
Damiani, thank you again, as always. Dawn, thank you for monitoring everything, getting those timestamps down, because I always forget to write them down. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Nice to see you, Jonesy.
Oh, nice to be seen.
CBC, absolutely.
It's not this. It's nice.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah.
It's you know. Like I won't like tweet for like a couple weeks. I'm just like, do I even exist? Do I even?
Yeah, Jones, where can they follow
when you
you?
don't see chat like scrolling by.
When you do tweet, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Trailer Jones, you can follow me, and I do that on the Instagram as well. Although I have, I'll get like a hit to be like, oh, I should take a photo of that and share it on Instagram. And then
Yeah.
lazy ass. Never do
Anything
it.
else you're doing we should be aware of or look out for?
I will definitely make a big hoorah.
Big
I will
splash,
definitely
yeah.
show up.
You got
when
something?
when that stuff is done. And that's the kind of things I don't want to like. There are fun things that I'm working on. For like the kids' book, I get art all the time. That's so cool, and it's like I will definitely shit. It's like you were saying, the trend is not to don't go the Dying Light 2 approach, where it's just like you have another update.
Yeah.
It's like when something exciting is about to happen, then you build a program, you ramp up effectively
That's right.
to it. Don't drag it out over months, maybe just a couple weeks. So, building up a lot of fun stuff, but not at all time to talk about it just yet.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time.